the supreme black dragon throne. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction. So please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story in all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter. And if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 76: The Birth of the Elf Tribe. In a secluded corner of the magic crystal forest, lived a large number of elves. They loved peace, never fought or robbed, and remained isolated from the outside world. Because of their isolation, the elven tribe faced no security risks, allowing their population to multiply rapidly. Perhaps due to the unique nature of their race, or perhaps because of their strict reproductive methods, inbreeding was rare, even without contact with the outside world. Over the decades, the tribe's population had grown rapidly, now numbering nearly 1,000. The tribe had become comparable to a large town in the human world. A female elf with green hair and blue eyes walked along the road. Her figure was graceful, and she wore a light green dress that revealed a small section of her fair leg. A playful elven child bumped into the female elf. Looking up, the child apologized profusely. "Queen, I'm sorry, I wasn't watching where I was going." The elven queen simply smiled and patted the child's head. Looking up, the child immediately felt that the elven queen was incredibly dignified and holy, possessing a sacred aura that seemed untouchable. Just then, her expression suddenly changed. Her gentle smile vanished, replaced by an expression as cold as the millennia-old ice of the far north. "He's dead. Cain is dead," Queen AC screamed. A terrifying aura erupted from her body. The elven child before her, merely at close range, was blasted away by this intangible force. The once peaceful and harmonious elven tribe was instantly thrown into a state of emergency by Queen AC's emotional breakdown. Whoosh! 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 Several powerful figures immediately leaped out. Because elves have long lifespans, their appearances don't change much, and from a human perspective, every elf is a handsome man or a beautiful woman. Even a centenarian looks the same as a human youth in their early 20s. "AC, what do you want to do?" A male elf with an oval face raised an eyebrow and questioned the queen. AC replied, Cain is dead, I'm going out to find him." As she spoke, tears streamed down AC's face. Years ago, AC secretly left the elven tribe, where she met Cain, a human, and they quickly fell in love. However, due to her identity, AC returned to the tribe after giving birth to a half-breed girl. It's a classic story of a princess escaping the castle and falling in love with a poor boy. Of course, Cain, as the son of the president of the Mages Guild, couldn't exactly be considered a poor boy. Are you kidding me? We've been isolated from the outside world for many years. This peaceful and tranquil life is what all elves need. Do you know that if a legendary elf like you leaves, the barrier will break? An elf immediately tried to stop AC. "No matter what, I must find Cain, and with my strength, all I need to do is rebuild a barrier." AC ran towards Lynn City. "I will break the barrier myself, avenge Cain, and then return to repair it, allowing the tribe to continue living a peaceful life." "No, you can't do this, AC. How can you do this to the elves? You have disappointed me greatly. You have failed the expectations of the previous queen." "AC, you are not a qualified queen." The elves tried to stop AC. But as a queen with legendary strength, how could these extraordinary elves stop her? AC simply waved her hand, and a gust of wind blew the elves away. Then, AC assumed a bow-drawing stance. Wind elements quickly condensed, forming a long bow. AC pulled back with her right hand, and the wind arrows shot straight into the sky. Crack, 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 cracks appeared in the sky above the elven tribe. The cracks spread rapidly, like a spider web. Finally, the entire sky shattered. The elven tribe, isolated from the world for many years, reappeared in this magic crystal forest. The enormous commotion startled the surrounding birds. A crow frantically spread its wings and flew into the sky. The crow flew higher and higher, farther and farther. Soon it arrived above Lynn City. "Ha ha ha, as expected of the phantom of a legendary elf, it can increase my size so much in an instant, even comparable to the serpent apostle of the blood cry god." Simon's body crackled as he devoured the phantom of AC. These were the sounds of his bones growing rapidly. In just a moment, Simon had become even larger. Name, Simon. Rank, 7. Size, 66.05 meters skills, feast, roar of the fire dragon, ancient dragon thunder spear, pressure, kayak number of draws. 4 meters. Just 4 more meters and I'll be breaking through to rank 8, Simon grinned greedily. Coming to Lin City this time was definitely the right decision. Not only have my injuries mostly healed, but I also had an unexpected windfall. I devoured the phantom of a legendary elf. Simon laughed heartily. The series of good fortunes made him laugh heartily. Now I should leave. Staying in Lin City for so long might attract legendary experts. Once I find the location of the elven tribe, devour the extraordinary elves, break through to rank 8 in one fell swoop, and complete the system mission. Even if I face a legendary powerhouse, I won't be unable to escape. Simon glanced at Cain, who had been torn in two and died a gruesome death. Without saying anything more, he spread his wings and flew into the sky. Simon departed. The high-ranking officials of Lin City, who had been silently observing the scene, all breathed a sigh of relief. The city lord gave a bitter smile. It's over. Casey is dead, and Cain is dead too. Leaving aside whether we can continue in our positions, once that hot-tempered old man returns, he'll probably cause us trouble immediately. I just hope he returns late, giving me time to prepare. Just as the officials were sighing amongst themselves, a storm suddenly appeared above Lin City. When the storm subsided, a green-haired, blue-eyed elven queen appeared. Cain, I'm here. Where are you? Queen AC frantically searched the ground. Finally, she saw Cain, severed in two. No, AC cried out, clutching Cain. Blood stained her skirt, staining her fair body. Who did this? Who did this? AC screamed frantically. The surrounding people were astonished by AC's appearance. I heard Cain fell in love with an elf in his youth. I never thought it was true, the surrounding people murmured amongst themselves. AC, the subject of the discussion, was still immersed in grief over her lover's death. With a casual wave of her hand, a gust of wind pulled a person in. Speak. Who killed Cain? Chapter 77. A flash of light. Simon was unaware of AC's situation. He soared into the sky, enjoying the exhilarating ride. System, draw a prize. With nothing else to do, Simon used his newly acquired prize draw opportunity, drawing a prize. Congratulations on drawing the skill, lightning strike. Skill description: by enduring electricity with a body, one forcibly exceeds the limits of their physical abilities, freely controlling muscle changes with their own will, forcibly unleashing their potential limits, increasing strength and agility. Source: Hunter x Hunter. Having drawn a new skill, the method for using lightning strike immediately appeared in Simon's mind. Lightning strike, Simon murmured to himself, releasing lightning from his body, coiling around him. The boost isn't exceptionally large, but it's not insignificant either, nearly a tenth. Its advantage is low consumption. With my current stamina, maintaining it for a day and a night is no problem at all. This technique in Hunter x Hunter consumes a considerable amount of energy. Even Killua, the user, couldn't use it for long. But for me, with a feast skill, this consumption is negligible. While both are strength-enhancing skills, the boost from Lightning Flash is nowhere near that of the Kaioken, but it wins in that it has no side effects and low consumption. The Kaioken can provide a multiplied increase in strength, and with sufficient mastery, it can even provide a boost of dozens of times. There probably aren't many enhancement skills that can compare to the Kaioken. While the Kaioken is powerful, its side effects on the body are too great. Simon used the Kaioken when fighting Cain and the Phantom Spirit, but the result was a sharp pain in his body. Fortunately, Simon didn't use it for long, and the pain was fleeting. Lightning Flash, however, obviously doesn't have this drawback. Perhaps due to the ancient dragon lightning spear, the lightning surrounding Simon after using lightning strike was a deep red. However, with this lightning strike seemed to offer a defensive effect in addition to amplifying strength and speed. Simon didn't pay much attention to this negligible defensive effect. By the time he came to his senses, he was back in his territory. Lord Black Dragon, you're back. His followers trembled as they approached. Simon noticed many corpses on the ground. The second-tier thief woman who had sneaked into the territory earlier was among them. Simon was in a good mood and didn't hold his followers' previous mistakes against them. Lord Black Dragon, we have killed all the humans who secretly followed us, as well as the merchants who knew about this. We have seized a large amount of gold coins and valuable items. We hope you can forgive our mistakes and give us a second chance." The old lizardman Abby led the way, kneeling before Simon. As an ordinary person, Abby couldn't sense Simon's aura, but she could see the changes in his physique. Simon's strength had increased significantly since his recent trip. His growth rate was so rapid that even Abby and her layman were amazed. Simon, in high spirits, said, "Considering this is your first offense, I'll forgive you this time. As for the coins and spoils, tell me about them." Abby and her followers were overjoyed. "Lord Black Dragon, firstly, we seized 30,000 copper coins, 8,000 silver coins, and 300 gold coins." Abby began to tirelessly recount the spoils from the caravan. Because the caravan had just purchased goods from Lin City, they didn't have a large amount of money. Simon glanced at a pile of coins with curiosity for a few moments, then paid no further attention. Now, getting money was incredibly easy for him. He could simply plunder various human cities. Now, his injuries have mostly healed, and he also possesses the amplifying skills Kaioken and Lightning Strike. If he can break through to the 8th rank, he can confidently say that all below the legendary level are mere ants. By the way, Lord Simon, in killing those caravans and human superhumans this time, we seized several combat techniques, and also a second-tier magic book we bought during a previous transaction. Abby hesitated for a moment, then took out several books. His initial idea was to secretly keep them. Even if he was too old to learn them himself, he could still pass them on to the younger lizardmen to improve the tribe's strength. However, given Simon's rate of improvement, Abby realized a problem. Simon's exaggerated rate of improvement would likely reach an unimaginable level soon. At that point, his followers would be useless to Simon. If his secret possession of the magic book and combat technique book were exposed, the lizardman tribe would likely face annihilation. Oh, Simon showed a hint of interest. The armor, weapons, and other items Abby had mentioned earlier were truly useless to Simon. However, these spellbooks and combat techniques were different. If possible, Simon also hoped to learn more skills. He hadn't inherited the power of the bloodline, all his abilities relied on the system. Simon also hoped to master more and stronger skills. "Open it and let me see." Simon's hands were too large, and these spellbooks were obviously meant for humans to read. In Simon's eyes, they were only about the size of the elf and he easily overlooked you if he wasn't paying attention. Abby first took out a second-tier spellbook. "Lord Black Dragon, this is the spellbook for the second-tier spell, Gravity Ball. It records in detail the principles of using this spell and how magic power operates." Simon stared intently at the contents of the spellbook. But after a short while, Simon decided to give up. Firstly, the text was simply too small. Even though dragons have excellent eyesight, the text recorded in human books was like ants in front of Simon, a 66-meter-long dragon. Secondly, the method of magic power operation was too mysterious. Simon simply couldn't understand it. After all, this was second-tier magic. Perhaps first-tier spellbooks would record how to use magic power. Simon then had Abby open the skilled book on combat techniques. These combat techniques were different from magic. Some didn't even require magic power to use, but unfortunately, they were too weak. For Simon, he could learn a few to kill time, but the effects were truly pathetic. It was far more effective to unleash a dragon's breath or slap someone. Simon only glanced at them before losing interest. "You can take these and see how many lizardmen and goblins can learn magic and combat techniques." Simon waved his hand. Abby was overjoyed. He had almost given up on the idea, but Simon had unexpectedly given him the precious magic and combat technique books. "Thank you, Lord Black Dragon. I will certainly not disappoint you and will help more lizardmen and goblins learn magic and combat techniques." Chapter 78 Lord Black Dragon, something's wrong. "Lord Black Dragon, I will certainly not disappoint you. I will cultivate more lizardmen and goblin warriors." Abby was overjoyed, clutching several books in her arms, and kept assuring Simon. Simon shook his head. These followers were too weak and couldn't keep up with his growth rate. If it weren't for completing the system mission, Simon would have left the magic crystal forest long ago. These magic books and combat skilled books were useless to him, which was why he had given them to them. If he really had to say, the only useful follower was the little elf Andy. Speaking of Andy, Simon turned his gaze to her. As a flower elf born of heaven and earth, she was overjoyed to have seized a lot of plant seeds from the caravan this time. At this moment, Andy was happily sowing all the plant seeds. It was hard work for her, who was only the size of an ordinary human's palm. After Andy's cultivation, these seeds would mature into at least second-tier plants, at which point Andy's realm would also be improved, and she would be able to cultivate stronger plants. Andy was a follower very worth cultivating. She and the plants she cultivated complemented each other. The more she planted, and the better they grew, the more her own strength would increase, allowing her to cultivate plants of higher levels. These plants, while perhaps not of the highest quality, were plentiful, and consuming them in large quantities would significantly increase Simon's physique. Andy was a follower who could be continuously nurtured. Simon was very satisfied. He withdrew his gaze and looked at Bray and Gulbran, who were training in the distance. Bray had considerable talent, already reaching the 4th level of the extraordinary realm at a young age. With the guidance of the master, breaking through to the legendary realm might not be a problem. Gulbran's talent was lacking, but he was at least hard-working. These two followers were only average. Their usefulness to Simon was far less than Andy's. Bray, Gulbran, Abby, I asked you to collect magical beasts from the forest before. How many did you hunt? Simon inquired. Before preparing for war with the orc tribe, Simon had already ordered these followers to collect magical beasts. The serpent apostle was powerful, and even after defeating it, he was severely injured. He returned to his territory and slept for 10 days. Upon waking, he instructed them to inquire about the legendary mage before sleeping for another day. Bray and Gulbran approached. Abby replied, Lord Black Dragon, we know you need a large number of magical beasts, so we've been hunting them continuously. These magical beasts have been stored in the caves where the goblin tribe used to live. However, because most of them are quite powerful, our hunting efficiency isn't very high. We've only hunted about 20 so far. Simon nodded slightly, not surprised by their hunting efficiency. Magical beasts possess extraordinary strength, not something ordinary lizardmen and goblins can hunt. The only ones truly reliable are Bray, who possesses the 4th level of extraordinary power, and Gulbran, who possesses the 2nd level. Bring all these magical beasts here, and then intensify the hunting, Simon instructed. He was only a few meters away from breaking through to the 8th level of extraordinary power, at which point his strength would be further enhanced, so Simon was somewhat eager. Yes, the attendants responded. Then began directing the lizardmen and goblins into the cave to move the monster corpses. Soon, a small mountain of corpses piled up in front of Simon. Simon opened his blood-red maw and devoured them in one gulp, consumed a tier 1 unicorn rabbit, size plus 0.03 meters, consumed a tier 2 shadow wolf, size plus 0.09 meters. As Simon's strength increased, consuming low-level monsters didn't bring much increase in size. Fortunately, there were quite a few. Consumed a large number of monsters, size plus 0.57 meters. The monsters captured by the attendants weren't high level, the strongest being only tier 3. Simon didn't care. Just as he was about to continue resting and recovering from his injuries, a goblin rushed back in a panic and ran to Simon. Lord Black Dragon, something bad has happened. Simon raised an eyebrow, lay down on the ground, and stared straight at the goblin with his huge dragon head, making the latter feel awe. What's all this commotion about? With me here, what are you worried about? Stay calm and collected. What kind of behavior is this, so impulsive and rash? Simon lectured incessantly. Hearing this, the goblin felt much more at ease. Yes, with Lord Black Dragon here, what do I have to fear from the elves? Huh? What did you say? Simon was taken aback. The goblin said, Lord Black Dragon, today when I was hunting, I saw so many elves in the forest. I secretly followed them for a look, and so many elves appeared. The goblin gestured excitedly as he spoke. As a member of the Magic Crystal Forest, he had naturally heard of the mysterious elf tribes. Now, seeing so many elves, he was naturally terrified. But with Simon present, the goblin's fear turned into excitement. Simon abruptly stood up. The elf tribe? He suddenly realized something. The elven phantom, Cain. The elf tribe? Ha. I was originally worried about how to find the location of the elf tribe, but I didn't expect to appear on my own. An unexpected stroke of luck. With that, Simon spread his dragon wings and soared into the sky. Although he didn't know the connection between the elf tribe and Cain, Simon didn't want to know. What he knew was that the elf tribe's voluntary appearance meant the system mission could be completed, and he could also use this opportunity to break through to the 8th rank. As for the legendary powerhouses that might exist within the elf tribe, Simon guessed it might be related to the owner of that elven phantom. However, Simon wasn't afraid. The current Simon was thick-skinned, and his true combat strength had already reached the peak of the 9th rank. If he unleashed the full power of his World King Fist, he could even fight a legendary figure. Even if he couldn't win, could he not escape? Simon was confident in that. Therefore, today, the elf tribe would either submit or be destroyed. He moved rapidly through the sky. The magic crystal forest was vast, but Simon flew very fast. Sure enough, he discovered an elven tribe that had suddenly appeared in the forest. What a huge tribe! This is comparable to a human town, Simon exclaimed in astonishment. Whether it was the lizardman tribe, the goblin tribe, or the now extinct orc and pigman tribes, they were all sparsely populated primitive tribes. Except for the goblin tribe, whose reproduction rate was extremely fast, a tribe might have 50 people at most. But the elven tribe below had nearly 1,000 people, which truly astonished Simon. Boom! Simon, just as he had dealt with the other tribes, suddenly descended into the elven tribe. The sudden change caused all the elves to stop what they were doing. What came into view was an enormous black dragon, its body muscular and its face terrifyingly ferocious. There should be another chapter later. Chapter 79. It's a pity you met me. The black dragon was enormous, just standing there, it was like an unyielding mountain. Its broad wings blotted out the sun, casting a shadow over the tribe. Its scales were thick and coarse, resembling stones. Its teeth were sharp, and its claws were razor sharp. The black dragon's face was ferocious, and its vertical dragon eyes exuded majesty. A black dragon. Why has a black dragon suddenly come to the tribe? Damn AC. I told you her personality wasn't suited to be queen. Now look what's happened. The barrier broke, attracting a black dragon, and to make matters worse, she, the strongest among them, isn't even in the tribe. The elves in the tribe were constantly discussing this. At the same time, many elves began to blame AC, complaining endlessly about the culprit who broke the barrier and caused the black dragon's appearance. More and more elves gathered around, and Simon grinned. Elf tribes, you've been isolated from the world for so long, you may not know what's happening outside. I'll tell you, having been isolated from the world for many years, when Simon said he was going to talk about the outside world, most of the elves were more curious than fearful. This forest is rich in a special metal called magic crystal. Humans used magic crystal to build a city outside the forest, called Lilin City, and named the forest a magic crystal forest. There aren't many intelligent creatures in the forest. There are lizardman tribes, goblin tribes, orc tribes, and pigman tribes. I came to this forest and successively subdued the goblin and lizardman tribes, destroyed the unjust pigman tribe, and the orc tribe who worshipped a blood god and had the protection of a divine apostle. Simon paused, then grinned menacingly. Now it's your turn, elven tribe. Submit to me, or perish like the pigman and orc tribes. Simon's voice boomed like thunder, echoing throughout the elven tribe. Some naive elves panicked upon hearing Simon's voice. What to do? What to do? The queen isn't here. Who can stop this black dragon that can kill a divine apostle? Some elves were simple-minded, but others were intelligent and powerful. HMPH, just a 7th tier transcendent black dragon? Let me test your skills. A male elf stepped forward, wielding 2 long swords, his aura undisguised. Simon stared intently. 7th tier transcendent, no wonder it's a mysterious elven tribe. Elves have long lifespans and are safe within the barrier, naturally allowing them to continuously improve their strength. An elf possessing 7th tier transcendent power wasn't surprising. The twin sword elf nodded. That's right, we're both at the 7th tier transcendent, but I'm much smaller and more agile than you. You're no match for me. You're quite confident. I'll let you attack first then, Simon scoffed, relinquishing the opportunity to strike. The elf gripped his longsword tightly. Black dragon, you will pay the price for your arrogance and conceit. He assumed a fighting stance, his aura soaring to the sky, his sword intent chilling. Simon was surprised to see this. Not bad. Among those at the 7th level of the transcendent realm, there are few who can rival you. The elf's lips curled up. Even if you praise me, I won't hold back. With that, he roared. Dual sword slash. The elf's figure vanished from its spot, transforming into a streak of light that shot straight at Simon. Some weaker elves couldn't even catch a glimpse of his movements. Whoosh, as expected of Connie, so fast. I could only see a blur. Connie is the strongest elven swordsman in our tribe. Go, Connie, kill this intruder. The strength displayed by the elven swordsman Connie drew cheers from the surrounding elves. But the next second, Bang! Connie's figure flew backward, scraping the ground for a long time before coming to a stop. The cheers instantly turned into complete silence, so quiet that one could even hear the black dragon's breathing. Fast, indeed agile, very strong among those at the same level, but unfortunately, you're facing me. Simon withdrew his outstretched hand. Stepping forward, Simon picked up the half-dead elven swordsman who had been slapped away. The majesty of a dragon cannot be challenged. Since you dared to challenge me, you should be prepared to die. With that, Simon grabbed the elven swordsman, crushed him, and tossed him into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, the sound of chewing was clearly audible in the deathly silence. Consumed a 7th-tier transcendent elf, size plus 8.4 meters, Simon's size increased, his bones cracking. A certain limit within him was broken, and power surged forth. Simon successfully broke through to the 8th tier of transcendent. Roar, the power surged forth, giving Simon an indescribable sense of exhilaration. Simon's roar brought the stunned elves back to their senses. Connie is dead. Connie was eaten by this black dragon. The elves panicked. Some discerning elves frowned deeply. This black dragon is too powerful. Even if we join forces, we probably wouldn't be a match for it. Its combat strength is at least at the 9th rank. Not only that, it also possesses the ability to devour. After consuming Connie, it broke through to the 8th rank of the extraordinary realm, becoming even stronger. For the past 10 years or so, the tribe's resources have all been used to enhance AC's strength. If not for that, we could also break through to the 8th rank and, together, could put up a fight against the black dragon. Simon's power filled these elves with despair. At the same time, they harbored even greater resentment towards the elf queen who broke the barrier. If it weren't for Queen AC's insistence, this black dragon wouldn't have come to the tribe. Everyone would still be living a leisurely and peaceful life. After devouring Connie, Simon's aura surged. The oppression skill activated, unleashing a powerful dragon's might. All the elves trembled under Simon's terrifying pressure, becoming uneasy. I'll say it one last time, elf tribe, submit or die, Simon roared, issuing his final warning. He was going to carry out the system's mission, but he didn't mind devouring all the elves to increase his strength. The system's mission to recruit followers was to subdue all forces in the magic crystal forest. Therefore, directly annihilating the elven tribe and erasing them from the magic crystal forest might also be a way to complete the mission. The elves hesitated. They didn't want to submit, but they also didn't want to lose their lives. Just as the elves were discussing this, and just as Simon was preparing to slaughter them all, a voice filled with majesty and fury rang out from behind. Who demands the submission of my elven tribe? Simon turned to look. The newcomer was a tall, green-haired, blue-eyed elven queen, AC. Her clothes still stained with blood. Her face was frosty and ashen. Her legendary aura, no longer concealed, erupted forth. Chapter 80 Legendary Elf AC. Who dares to demand the submission of my elven tribe? AC's face was frosty, her murderous aura overwhelming. The death of her lover and the crisis facing her tribe had driven this elven queen to madness. Upon seeing Simon's figure, she was even more enraged. She had already learned the truth about Cain's death at the hands of the Black Dragon from Lynn City. AC hated the Black Dragon intensely. Although she didn't know if the Black Dragon before her was the one that killed Cain, it didn't mean AC couldn't vent her anger on it. A legendary powerhouse, Simon frowned, his expression tense. He had anticipated the existence of a legendary powerhouse in the Elven tribe through the system's rewards. However, facing one in person still made him nervous. With each increase in strength, the gap between classes widened like a chasm. Simon relied on the power of the dragon race and the assistance of various skills to possess the strength to fight across classes. This didn't make him look down on the strong, on the contrary, he treated them with utmost seriousness. Black Dragon, today you came to my elven tribe and killed Connie. Your fate is sealed with death. AC's face was icy. With a wave of his hand, a howling wind arose. In an instant, a massive storm formed, engulfing the entire elven tribe. The storm suction was immense. Simon could only maintain his balance to avoid being pulled in. Strangely, the storm suction seemed to attract no elves. This demonstrated the legendary powerhouse's terrifying control over his techniques. Furthermore, the storm possessed immense power. Under its pull, any plants and trees sucked into the storm were torn to shreds within moments. Simon wasn't afraid of the storm, but escaping wasn't easy either. AC's actions had undoubtedly blocked Simon's retreat, indicating her intention to kill him on the spot. Even dragons, before an absolute powerhouse, could only retreat. As expected of the queen, although her personality is somewhat flawed and she hasn't fulfilled the responsibilities of a proper queen, her power as a legendary expert is truly awe-inspiring. Unfortunately, our talent is insufficient. Even with our long and enduring lifespan, breaking through to the legendary level is still incredibly difficult. Long live the queen, please, your majesty, slay the black dragon and avenge Connie. The elves' voices rang out again. Simon's expression was solemn, his face serious. Are you the leader of the elven tribe? He focused intently, channeling his inner power, ready to fight at any moment. The pressure from a legendary expert was immense. It was far beyond what the serpent apostle had ever exerted. Every movement of the elven queen AC seemed to possess a certain rhythm. With each breath she took, the surrounding wind element seemed to dance in a frenzy. Indeed, a true legendary expert was not on the same level as a mere phantom. Even a phantom, resembling a clone, was enough to give Cain, a 4th-tier transcendent, the strength of a 7th-tier transcendent. It's easy to imagine just how terrifying the true form of a legendary powerhouse truly is. Despite Simon's enormous size and the elf queen AC's mere human size, the oppressive aura emanating from the latter made Simon hesitant to move. HMPH, blame it on being a black dragon. Today, I will use your blood to sacrifice to Cain, and afterwards, I will slaughter all black dragons. One day, I will ensure that the black dragon race ceases to exist in this world. AC's tone was arrogant and domineering, yet filled with rage. It was clear how furious she was after the death of her lover. If it were an ordinary person, Simon would only scoff and mock. But AC was different, she was a legendary powerhouse. Black dragons are among the weaker dragon species, typically reaching only around the 8th level of the extraordinary realm upon adulthood. Even the stronger ones barely reach the threshold of legendary. But AC was now a legendary powerhouse. If she truly decided to slaughter black dragons without restraint, an ordinary person would find it difficult to stop her. Simon's eyes darted around. It seemed AC wasn't entirely sure he was the black dragon who killed Cain. Because of his rapid rise in strength, Simon had assumed legendary experts weren't so formidable. But now, facing a living legend, Simon felt a chill. He decided to go home and lay low until he reached the 9th level of the transcendent realm before returning to fight. With that in mind, Simon feigned ignorance. I didn't expect the elven tribe to possess someone as powerful as you. I came to the elven tribe intending to recruit some followers, and I was unaware of your existence. The elf I killed was because you offended the dragon's majesty. We're even now. I'll leave now, and we can pretend nothing happened, okay? Simon proactively sought peace. From the aura AC exuded, Simon knew he was no match for her. He hadn't expected the difference between a legendary and a transcendent realm expert to be so vast. Simon could even faintly sense a divine quality emanating from AC, something only felt by the serpent apostle after the blood god's descent. Even among the legendary figures, Queen AC of the elves must rank among the top, perhaps even having grasped some of the mysteries of mythology. Legendaries, unlike the extraordinary, are not divided into ranks. A legend is a legend, no matter how powerful, as long as one remains at that level, they are all called a legend. Queen AC of the elves, though a legend, possessed a true strength exceeding Simon's expectations. Faced with Simon's plea for peace, AC naturally refused. HMPH, do you think my elven tribe can come and go as they please? AC's eyes burned with anger. Simon cursed inwardly, but verbally retorted, a legend, huh? Even if I can't defeat you, do you think a mere storm can stop a dragon? He spread his wings and soared into the sky, preparing to depart. He knew he couldn't win in a fight. It seemed his only option was to run. Simon, who had recently displayed his might in Lynn City, was now forced to flee in disgrace, a truly humiliating situation. Trying to leave, a gust of wind surged around AC, as if an invisible hand lifted her up. Storm arrow, AC shouted, waving her hands, and a long bow of raging wind materialized. One of the arrows contained a large amount of wind element. Simon, flying high into the sky, clearly felt the power within. He turned his head and saw the wind element arrow poised to be released. The wind continued to gather, causing sand and dust to fly. Such terrifying power. If this arrow hit a vital spot, even I would be seriously injured. No wonder it's a legend. Simon took a deep breath and immediately unleashed, Roar of the Fire Dragon. His lungs bulged, and raging flames erupted. AC stopped charging, and the storm arrow was released. The arrow traveled at lightning speed, and even the fierce flames could only be dispersed before the storm arrow. Chapter 81 Going All Out. With a fast arrow, Simon witnessed his flames being dispersed at a visible speed and immediately turned to dodge. But he was still a little too slow. The storm arrow grazed his cheek, taking away a large chunk of flesh. Simon winced in pain. His cheek was covered in blood, and the horn on his head was broken off. How strange, the storm arrow shouldn't consume this much energy, right? As a legendary powerhouse, AC naturally had a very good understanding of his magic power and stamina. This time, using the storm arrow had consumed significantly more magic power and stamina than usual, which puzzled AC greatly. You dodged quite quickly, but can you dodge this next arrow? AC drew her bow again, gathering her strength. The surrounding wind howled, instantly condensing into a new arrow. Compared to the storm arrow, this arrow appeared smaller. However, the elemental fluctuations emanating from it were in no way weaker. Simon knew that he probably couldn't dodge this arrow. HMPH, don't think I'm afraid of you, Simon roared. Lightning flash, double Kayakin. Without hesitation, Simon immediately unleashed all his trump cards. Crimson lightning crackled around him, his aura swelled, and his power more than doubled. Ancient Dragon Thunder Spear, Simon raised his right hand high. Lightning flashed. Boom, a storm surged, and lightning erupted. Simon's hand clenched, and a long spear of crimson lightning materialized out of thin air, its aura vast and boundless. He stood high above, holding the ancient Dragon Thunder Spear, his body wreathed in crimson lightning, like a thunder god descending to earth. In terms of imposing presence, he even faintly surpassed the Elf Queen. Fine Wind Arrow, the Elf Queen drew her great bow and fired an arrow. With a whoosh, the fine wind arrow shot out at incredible speed, as if traversing the universe. Roar, Simon roared furiously. His flesh swelled, his power surged, and the lightning on the ancient Dragon Thunder Spear spread, causing space itself to tremble. He didn't throw the lightning spear, but instead gripped it tightly and thrust it down. The lightning spear collided with a wind arrow. Energy erupted, earth-shattering, as if the heavens and earth themselves paled under the impact of these two attacks. With Simon unleashing his full power, the ancient dragon lightning spear, now practically invincible below the legendary level, was strengthened, becoming comparable to a move wielded by a legendary powerhouse. A fourfold Kayakin, Simon roared. His aura suddenly surged, gushing forth like a spring. At the same time, Simon felt as if his entire body was being torn apart by this power, and excruciating pain surged through him. Die? Simon felt as if he had been beaten for 3 days and 3 nights, the pain unbearable. The price of using the fourfold Kayakin was so enormous, but the resulting enhancement was naturally incomparably terrifying. The ancient dragon lightning spear expanded with a boom, exceeding 100 meters. A lightning spear that nearly pierced through the heavens and earth was hurled towards the ground by Simon. What? The Elf Queen AC's expression changed. The elves below all paled. No one expected Simon to unleash such power. His strength doubled once more as Simon hurled the ancient dragon lightning spear. The legendary warrior's fine wind arrow crumbled. The ancient dragon lightning spear, undiminished in its momentum, continued its descent towards the ground. Great power, but too slow. The legendary elven queen, skilled in wind elemental magic, was naturally renowned for her speed. She was preparing to dodge the attack when she suddenly saw the trembling elves on the ground. She was the queen, how could she watch her people die? So, AC gritted her teeth and decided not to dodge. Winds, heed my command? AC waved her arms. Under the control of legendary magic, a massive shield rapidly formed on the ground, a wind shield that completely covered the elven tribe. Bang! The ancient dragon lightning spear struck the wind shield and instantly shattered. Terrifyingly powerful red lightning raged. To better protect the elven tribe, AC dispersed her power. Naturally, the wind shield's defensive capabilities could not perfectly showcase the power of the legend. Under the onslaught of the ancient dragon's lightning spear, the wind shield was destroyed in no time. However, the lightning did not dissipate and continued to rage. AC frowned, gritting her teeth. She spread her arms to block above the tribe, using magic to draw all the lightning to herself. Boom, boom, boom. The lightning finally dissipated. AC, who had faced the ancient dragon's lightning spear head-on, was now ragged, her fair skin exposed. Her brows were furrowed, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth, but her expression remained cold and defiant. Anyone with a particular fetish would be thrilled to see AC's expression. Such a stunning scene, however, filled Simon with horror. She's still not dead. At this moment, the side effects of the fourfold Kayakin fully erupted. Simon's muscles ached all over, and even the slightest movement caused excruciating pain. Although his physical body was strong, he was not yet proficient in the Kayakin, and using the fourfold Kayakin directly was still too much of a burden on his body. As expected of a legendary powerhouse, truly monstrous. Even I would probably be obliterated by that attack under the barrage of lightning. Simon clicked his tongue in amazement. However, he could also see that AC was not in good shape. After all, Simon had paid a huge price for unleashing his full power. That power was absolutely not to be underestimated even among legendary powerhouses. Just now, the Elf Queen could have dodged, but she chose to take the hit head-on, which means that the elves below are her weakness, her Achilles heel. Exposing such a weakness to the enemy, especially an enemy without any scruples, is undoubtedly fatal. Simon's mind raced, and in the blink of an eye, he had already devised a countermeasure. Ha, you must be the lover of that transcendent fourth-tier mage, right? If I'm not mistaken, you must have been to Lin City. That mage is really weak. I just casually tore his body in half. Simon laughed loudly, ignoring the pain in his body. Upon hearing this, the Elf Queen AC's eyes widened in fury. Her clear eyes were now bloodshot. What? You really killed Cain? The Elf Queen roared in fury, gathering power to form a wind longbow, preparing to attack. I know you're in a hurry, but hold on, I have something very important to tell you. Simon narrowed his eyes. The Elf Queen ignored him, continuing to draw her bow, and a storm arrow appeared. Simon, disregarding her, continued, not only that mage, but his daughter too. I killed her too. Ha, that lovely girl. I just squeezed her body to pieces with a little force. Blood filled my entire palm. The Elf Queen trembled, seemingly unable to believe that even her daughter had died at the hands of the black dragon before her. Her anger surged, and just as she was about to attack, she heard Simon say again, I will not only kill your man and your daughter, I will also slaughter your entire people. Try and stop me if you dare. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 AC surrenders. I'm going to kill all the elves below right now. Come and stop me if you dare, Simon roared menacingly. He swooped down, ignoring the pain in his body, ready to launch a fierce attack on the elves. You dare, the Elf Queen roared, firing a wind arrow. But this arrow was clearly much slower. Simon simply twisted in midair and dodged the attack. It seemed that AC had already been seriously injured in the previous attack. HMPH, what don't I dare to do? Simon sneered, his tone arrogant and domineering. Legendary elf, although you are powerful, you probably don't have much strength left after taking my attack head-on. Simon's full force attack was terrifying. Elves aren't like dragons, creatures with exceptionally strong bodies. The fact that they could withstand the attack already showed that their defensive capabilities were extremely powerful. Simon wasn't afraid of AC at this moment. The elves on the ground were AC's weakness. These were Simon's assets to fight AC. He swooped down to the ground, locked his gaze, and swallowed an elf whole, ground and all, devouring a tier 5 extraordinary elf, size plus 4.2 meters. Stop. AC watched helplessly as Simon devoured her people, her eyes wide with rage and her hair standing on end. Simon smiled contemptuously. You tell me to stop, and I'll stop? Why should I listen to you? With that, Simon flicked his tail. His thick tail, as thick as a centuries-old tree, easily destroyed countless houses. Elven children who couldn't dodge in time were crushed under a pile of rubble. Evil dragon. Evil dragon. You deserve to die. AC's breathing was rapid, her fair and pretty face flushed red with anger. She moved swiftly, appearing before Simon in the blink of an eye. Evil dragon, you killed my lover, you killed my children, and now you slaughter my people. Today I will kill you. She drew her great bow, and a storm gathered. The power of this arrow far exceeded ordinary arrows, and Simon felt as if he were locked onto by AC. No matter how he dodged, there was no way to avoid it. However, Simon had no intention of dodging. Kill me? Fine, I'll just stand here and let you kill me. Simon grinned. He reached out and grabbed two elves. One was short, clearly still a child. The other was a pregnant elf with flowing hair and a swollen belly, a third-tier extraordinary level. The child and the pregnant elf struggled, but how could their strength compare to Simon's? No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't escape Simon's clutches. Come on, kill me. Simon held up the hostages in front of him, speaking cruelly. Acey's expression froze instantly, and she cursed angrily. Despicable and shameless. She gathered power in her wrist, and a storm condensed, forming an arrow containing all of Acey's power. Even a legendary powerhouse would be either killed or maimed by Acey's arrow. Calm down, Queen, you must calm down. An elderly elf stepped forward. He was 300 years old. His strength was not great, only at the 4th tier of extraordinary level, which was only thanks to the long lifespan of elves. Although his strength wasn't particularly impressive, as an old elf who had lived for over 300 years, he knew many secrets. Among them was the key to legendary powerhouse advancing to the next level. This seemed to be greatly related to the loyalty of his followers and people. If Acey were to recklessly kill the elven hostages now, her life would likely end there. Damn it, you killed Cain, you killed Kathy, and you killed so many of your people, but I can't just kill you directly, damn it. Acey's eyes streamed with bloody tears as she gritted her teeth. Her hatred was boundless, but the longbow and arrows in her hands gradually dissipated. Her arm slumped down, unable to bring herself to strike. What, you're not going to kill me anymore, Simon said mockingly. In that case, I won't be polite. With that, Simon tossed the 2.5 hostages into his mouth. Devoured an elven child, size plus 0.008 meters. Devoured a transcendent 3rd-tier elf, size plus 1.4 meters. Simon's physique increased, breaking through 80 meters, and his strength improved. It feels so good to be stronger, Simon groaned. You, seeing the hostage die, Acey immediately cast her wind spell, preparing to shoot an arrow. But Simon, having chosen to eat the hostage, was naturally prepared. Just as Acey summoned her longbow, Simon seized another hostage. He was incredibly fast, the surrounding elves couldn't escape even if they wanted to. Moreover, the entire elven tribe was engulfed in a chaotic storm by Acey's magic. Acey had intended to restrain Simon, but unexpectedly, she had become trapped herself, unable to escape. Helpless, Acey had to withdraw the massive storm. Sand, gravel, and vegetation quickly fell to the ground. She was the elven queen, and protecting her people was a concept instilled in her from childhood. Faced with a choice between killing her enemy to avenge her lover and protecting her people, Acey chose the latter. She could betray Cain, she could betray Kathy, but she felt she couldn't let down the elven people who had placed all their hopes on her. Evil dragon, you win. Go, Acey said, her face filled with despair. The enemy who killed her lover and child was right in front of her, yet Acey had no choice but to let him go. At that moment, Acey was filled with unbearable pain. But Simon had no intention of leaving. He greedily eyed Acey, thinking, I'm only at the 8th level of the transcendent realm, while the elf queen is at the legendary realm. If I devour her, could I also become a legendary in one fell swoop? Thinking this, Simon felt a surge of excitement. So he said, HMPH, it's too late for me to leave now. Acey was furious. What do you want from me to leave? If Simon left the elf tribe, Acey would immediately chase after him and kill him, or at least recast a barrier, causing the elf tribe to disappear from the world again. It's simple, kill yourself, Simon said. Acey naturally couldn't agree. But the elder elf, enraged, said, Black Dragon, you killed my people, and now you want our queen to commit suicide. This hatred is irreconcilable. Simon opened his mouth, and flames shot out, instantly burning the elder elf to the ground. If you hadn't suddenly appeared in the magic crystal forest, how would I have ended up in the elf tribe? Besides, I was already planning to leave, but you insisted on stopping me. Now that the situation has reversed, you want me to leave now? Hell, the majesty of the dragon cannot be offended. Today, either you die, or the elf tribe is destroyed, Simon declared righteously, placing himself in the position of a victim. Nonsense. You were the one who first offered to subdue my elf tribe. I am a legendary powerhouse, and the dignity of a legend cannot be offended either, especially since you killed Connie, Acey immediately retorted. Chapter 83 Please, Queen, commit suicide. Simon's eyes narrowed slightly. This world, after all, is a jungle where the strong prey on the weak. Initially, AC was arrogant and overconfident, believing her legendary strength could easily crush Simon. But now, Simon had AC's weakness exposed, so she began to reason with him. However, the situation had reversed, and Simon clearly wouldn't let AC off easily. This whole affair stems from your unauthorized entry into my territory. To quell my anger, it's simple, commit suicide. Simon looked down at the Elf Queen, his strength clearly inferior, yet he held the advantage by exploiting AC's weakness. The Elf Queen bit her red lips. Queen, please don't agree to such an outrageous request. If you die, our tribe will truly become the Black Dragon's playthings, and we'll have no chance of resistance, the Elder Elven, engulfed in flames, still pleaded. Simon was furious and reached out to grab the Elder Elven. But AC wouldn't let him have his way. Her eyes narrowed, and a gust of wind pressed down on Simon, slowing his movements. Since that's the case, then let the Elven tribe be destroyed. Simon stood on two legs, his massive body overlooking the Elven tribe. His mouth opened wide, and raging flames erupted. AC immediately reacted. She used magic, pressing down and beating Simon. Even a severely injured legend was still a force to be reckoned with. Faced with AC's attacks, Simon could only retreat step by step. Storm Arrow. AC casually conjured a powerful storm arrow. As soon as the arrow was fired, Simon retaliated with the ancient dragon thunder spear. Due to the side effects of the fourfold Kayakin, Simon was not only in excruciating pain, but even the lightning-fast effects had disappeared. In a clash of strength, he was naturally no match for AC. The ancient dragon thunder spear crumbled, and the storm arrow shot out swiftly, piercing through Simon's body, tearing away a chunk of flesh. But Simon's lips curled into a smile. Previously, the battle between the dragon and the elf had taken place in the air. But now, their battle was unfolding on the ground. The ancient dragon's thunder spear was shattered by the storm arrow, instantly transforming into countless bolts of lightning that swept across the surrounding area. Some elves who couldn't escape in time were swallowed by the crimson lightning. Queen, what are you doing? Quickly drive this evil dragon away, my child, my child. Why? Some elves questioned, others wailed. In an instant, the entire elven tribe was shrouded in negative emotions. As this emotion spread, the elves began to find targets for their venting. Why must we suffer such an undeserved calamity? Why has our peaceful and tranquil life suddenly disappeared? Queen, why did you break the barrier? If the queen hadn't broken the barrier, the evil dragon would never have discovered our tribe, and there wouldn't have been any casualties. The elven tribe was like a living hell. The aftershocks of the battle between the Elven Queen and Simon were enough to kill countless weak elves. AC wanted to move the battle to the sky. However, she had previously taken Simon's strongest attack alone to protect the tribe, and now she was also seriously injured, willing but unable to do so. Even more strangely, AC found that her strength was rapidly diminishing. Each use of magic consumed far more mana and stamina than before. Just then, a female elf cried out. It's all the queen's fault. Why did you break the barrier? Why did you ignore our pleas? If it weren't for you, Connie wouldn't be dead. The young elven swordsman, Connie, was not only talented but also incredibly handsome, attracting many admirers in the tribe. If Queen AC, as the elven queen, could break the barrier for her lover, disregarding the tribe's safety, then other elves could similarly stand against their queen for their lovers. The female elf, deeply in love with Connie, cried out, Queen, please commit suicide. Let the dragon depart. These words immediately resonated with many elves. Since Simon's arrival, many elves had already died in the battle with AC. Their children, their lovers, their parents. One by one, their beloved companions had perished, and all this misfortune stemmed from the Elven Queen's selfishness and reckless act of breaking the barrier. Queen, commit suicide. Queen, commit suicide. Queen, commit suicide. The elves raised their arms and shouted. AC's attack on Simon paused, and she turned to look at her comrades who were shouting. Her expression was one of utter disbelief. Her own people wanted her to commit suicide? At this moment, the Elf Queen's heart was filled with mixed emotions. A familiar aura came. AC turned to look. Sister, at least I still have you, but the next second, a sharp dagger stabbed at her. AC simply stretched out a finger to block the attack. AC couldn't believe it. Sister, you actually want to kill me? Her elven sister roared. Sister, you plunged the tribe into crisis for a human. You are not worthy to be queen. Please die and pass the position to me. AC's mind flashed back to her childhood, to her sister who always followed her around, calling her sister at every turn. Coming to her senses, she realized that the person in front of her was not her lovely sister, but a demon that had crawled out of the abyss to claim her life. A gust of wind surged around her, blasting her elven sister away. Simon curled his lips into a smile. This was exactly what he wanted to see. The old elven, his face charred beyond recognition by dragonfire, glared sorrowfully at the shouting elves. "You fools! If the queen dies, who'll stand against the dragon? We'll be fish on a chopping block, at their mercy." However, his voice alone was utterly futile. No elf paid him any attention. They simply wanted to vent their negative emotions, hoping the culprit behind all this, the elven queen, would commit suicide, thus freeing the dragon. "So, elven queen, what is your choice now?" Simon looked at AC with amusement. AC's lips parted, but the words seemed stuck in her throat, unable to escape. Forced to commit suicide by her beloved people. Betrayed and abandoned by all, AC's emotions were complex and indescribable. A truly selfish person would probably ignore these elves. But AC had been raised as a queen from childhood. Subconsciously, she believed the tribe was above all else. Her act of breaking the barrier was driven by a desire for revenge for her lover and to see him one last time. She planned to return to the tribe and rebuild the barrier afterward. But AC never imagined that a powerful black dragon would descend upon the tribe. She might not be a perfect queen, but she was undoubtedly a leader who deeply loved her tribe. A mix of emotion surged within her. The devastated state of the tribe came into view. The elf queen saw the corpse of a child. It was the elven child who had bumped into her earlier that day and apologized. His innocent smile was still vivid in her memory, but now he was a lifeless corpse. AC's face paled, her lips trembled, and she slowly said, "If I die, will you spare the elven tribe?" Ultimately, AC decided to take responsibility for her actions. It was she who, disregarding the pleas of the other elves, stubbornly broke the barrier, leading to all of this. If she could do it all over again, she would never do it this way. "No, you mustn't, Queen. He's a dragon. How can you believe his words? If you die, who will protect the tribe? Queen, you are the foundation of our elven tribe. Even if you are the only one left, the elven tribe can continue to thrive. You absolutely mustn't do anything foolish." Chapter 84 Surpassing 100 meters, advancing to the 9th rank. "Queen, you mustn't believe the dragon's words. If you die, the elven tribe will be doomed," the elder elven pleaded, trying to dissuade AC. AC was clearly wavering. She looked up at Simon and asked again, "If I commit suicide, will you spare the elven tribe?" Simon smiled, a smirk playing on his lips. "Of course. I keep my promises. I swear by my true name, Ultramantiga, that as long as you die, I will spare the elven tribe." AC nodded. Turning to the elf still berating her, she said, "My dear people, I am not a worthy queen. I hope my death will earn your forgiveness." The elder elven's face paled. No, AC smiled and shook her head. "It's all right, old burn. The dragon race values their true names highly. After my death, the elven tribe will still need your wisdom." As she spoke, blood trickled from AC's lips. She used magic to extinguish her own heart. In truth, after learning of the deaths of her lover and child, AC had little desire to live on, her only thought being to kill all the black dragons and avenge her lover. Now, betrayed and attacked by her own people, and with her own sister killing her, she was heartbroken and felt that revenge was hopeless. So she chose to die to save her tribe. "Black dragon, I saw that you possessed the power to devour, and I knew that your true purpose in making me commit suicide was to covet my body. I preserved the power within my body to the greatest extent possible, hoping that you would keep your promise and spare the elven tribe after devouring me." AC's life force gradually faded. As a legendary powerhouse, even with her heart destroyed, she could still survive for a while. However, AC chose to end her life. Her last words even impressed Simon. "Truly worthy of being the elven queen. Although you weren't very bright and were persuaded to commit suicide with just a few words, I must admit that you are indeed a qualified queen," Simon praised, reaching out to pick up the dead AC, consuming a legendary elf. Size increases by 40 meters. At this moment, an endless power surged through Simon's stomach. A warm current coursed through his body. Flesh and blood regenerated, and bones grew wildly. Simon was growing rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. His aura surged, advancing to the 9th rank. In just a few breaths, Simon's size had already exceeded 100 meters, and it was still increasing. This scene left all the elves dumbfounded. Oldburn's face was ashen. The queen is dead, and the elven tribe has come to an end. The elven tribe had a considerable foundation, with several extraordinary 7th-rank beings, enough for them to dominate a small area. But against the evil dragon, it was clearly no match. This is power. After the growth ended, Simon clenched his fist and glanced at the system panel. Name, Simon. Rank, 9. Size, 120.628 meters. Skills, Feast, Roar of the Fire Dragon, Ancient Dragon Thunder Spear, Pressure, Kayakin, Lightning Strike. After devouring the Elf Queen, Simon's strength increased dramatically. He has now broken through to the 9th rank. Simon feels that he could even shatter a mountain with a single punch. Of course, this is just his own feeling. His actual strength is obviously not that great. I thought I could advance to legendary in one go, but now it seems that with my current strength, I estimate I will only reach legendary strength when my size breaks through 200 meters, Simon murmured to himself. Coming back to his senses from the swelling power within him, Simon looked down at the elves. Elves, you now have 2 choices. First, submit to me. Second, die. Simon spoke, his voice loud and clear, reaching the ears of all the elves. Simon had not forgotten the system mission. He admired the Elf Queen's rule to some extent, but that did not mean Simon would give up the system mission rewards for this insignificant admiration. The old elf, Oldborn, leaped out. Evil dragon, you truly broke your promise. You swore by your true name, and for breaking your vow, you will surely be punished by the dragon god. Simon sneered, glancing at Oldborn. Now possessing absolute power to crush the elven tribe, he calmly replied, actually, my name is Simon. Dragons have long names, and Simon certainly wouldn't be foolish enough to reveal his full name. Damn it, as expected, the words of an evil dragon are unimaginable. The queen died in vain. Before Oldborn could finish speaking, a dagger pierced his body from behind. Oldborn turned around in disbelief. He saw an elven girl with short, yellow hair. The elven girl was expressionless, icy cold, the dagger in her hand flashing white as it went in and red as it came out. Why? Oldborn, filled with doubt, slowly collapsed. After killing Oldborn, the elven girl knelt on one knee, facing Simon. Lord Black Dragon, my elven tribe is willing to submit? Simon looked at the elven girl with interest and asked, what's your name? The elven girl replied, my name is Yulina, and I'm AC's younger sister. After a pause, the girl continued, AC is dead. I am the strongest in the tribe, approaching the 8th level of the transcendent realm, and I also possess the bloodline of a queen. I should be the next queen, and I am willing to lead the elven tribe to submit to Lord Black Dragon. Simon was stunned for a moment, then threw his head back and laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha, interesting. In that case, you will be the leader of the elven tribe from now on. Then, Simon's gaze swept over the elves, and the aura of a 9th level transcendent dragon emanated from him. Under the unparalleled dragon's might, the elves trembled in fear. And you? Simon asked. We are also willing to follow Queen Yulina in submission. At this moment, upon receiving the elves' reply, the system also issued a notification. Ding. Congratulations on successfully unifying the forces of the Magic Crystal Forest. Lottery draw chances +2. System, draw a lottery. Simon didn't hesitate and immediately used the lottery draw chance he had just obtained and hadn't even had a chance to warm up. Give me a healing skill or something else, Simon prayed inwardly. Now he had developed resistance to human healing potions, and if he wanted to recover from his injuries, he could only look for other methods. No matter what, AC was a genuine legendary powerhouse. Simon's body was covered in wounds from AC's attacks. Horns were broken, flesh was torn open, and blood was dripping, making it even more miserable than when he fought the Snake Apostle. If he didn't draw a healing skill, he would probably have to recuperate for half a year. Congratulations on drawing the item Dragon Talisman. Congratulations on drawing the skill Soul Scattering Iron Claw. The system was as concise as ever, with nothing else, just simple text descriptions. This lottery draw made Simon want to vomit. Chapter 85 Holy Water. Congratulations on drawing the item, Dragon Talisman. Item description. One of the 12 talismans, originally the innate magic power within the fire demon Saint Master, capable of unleashing devastating bursts of flame, representing explosive bombardment. Later, Saint Master was sealed by Lope, and all his abilities were transformed into the 12 talismans. Source: Jackie Chan Adventures. Congratulations on drawing the skill. Soul Scattering Claw. Skill description: Inuyasha's signature move, wielding sharp claws to tear apart enemies. Source: Inuyasha. The system lottery ended, and Simon recalled how to use the Soul Scattering Claw. Simultaneously, a new power appeared within his body. Simon carefully sensed it. It was a power that could make his breath even more potent, the power of the Dragon Talisman, Dragon Blast. In addition, Simon had a peculiar feeling. He could force the power of Dragon Blast out of his body, transforming it into a tangible form. Simon did as instructed. A tickling sensation immediately spread through his palm. Looking up, he saw a stone engraved with a dragon pattern in his palm. "How, I see," Simon chuckled, gaining a preliminary understanding of the system's abilities. It seemed Simon had drawn the item, Dragon Talisman, thus acquiring the Dragon Blast ability, but in reality, it was the opposite. Simon had acquired the Dragon Blast ability and then expelled it from his body, thus forming the Dragon Talisman. In other words, the system didn't have the ability to create items out of thin air. Rather, it could only use Simon's body as a medium to deliver various items or skills as rewards. The system wasn't as omnipotent as imagined. If only. A bold idea surfaced in Simon's mind. If I could devour the system, I wonder how strong I could become. A greedy thought flashed through Simon's mind. Lord Black Dragon, my sister, as a legendary powerhouse, possesses immense combat strength, causing you such injury. Fortunately, the tribe has healing holy water. I'll have someone fetch it for you immediately, Yulina said obsequiously. Simon nodded slightly. Ayesha's strength was indeed formidable. If it weren't for his thick skin, an ordinary 8th-tier transcendent creature would probably have been instantly killed. Besides the healing holy water, what other treasures does the elven tribe possess? Simon lowered his head and asked Yulina. Yulina replied, Lord Black Dragon, the tribe originally possessed many treasures that could enhance strength, but in order to cultivate a new legendary queen, the tribe's treasury has been completely depleted. Now, only a few fruits that can enhance elemental affinity remain. Give them all to me, Simon said. Yulina was about to agree immediately, but an elf spoke up to stop her. No, I disagree. Looking over, she saw a male elf. Holding a staff, with flowing long hair, he was both refined and handsome. Yulina's lips slowly curled into a sinister smile of triumph. Simon's eyes narrowed slightly as he asked a long-haired male elf holding the staff, What, do I need you to tell me what to do? The long-haired elf's expression changed, and he could only shake his head repeatedly. How dare I? Even the legendary elven queen had been forced to her death, and the strongest swordsman, Cunning, had been slapped to death. How could he possibly contend with Simon? But those fruits have already been planted underground, and they'll ripen again in 100 years, growing into even more elemental fruits. It would be such a waste if you ate them now, the long-haired elf pleaded cautiously. He was trying to persuade Simon with the development of the elven tribe in mind, but unfortunately, as a solitary and withdrawn mage, he clearly didn't understand Yulina's ulterior motives. Simon, of course, couldn't hide his scheming thoughts. He glanced at Yulina and sneered, using someone else to kill you? You have the idea, but it's too naive. The elven tribe has been at peace for too long. Even if you have ideas, you haven't had the opportunity to hone them. Yulina's expression changed drastically. Just as Simon had said, she wanted to use this opportunity to kill the long-haired elf directly. She and the long-haired elf were the only two remaining 7th-tier transcendent experts in the elven tribe. If the long-haired elf died, Yulina could further solidify her position as queen. Lord Black Dragon, please forgive me. Yulina decisively knelt before Simon, begging for mercy. Simon waved his hand, clearly not bothered. Having ideas is a good thing, sticking to the status quo is a bad thing. Now that the elven tribe has submitted to me, the old system can be changed. Now, go and bring me the holy water and the fruit, Simon urged. I have very little patience. When I'm unhappy, I want to eat. The stronger the creature, the more satisfied I feel. Yulina and the long-haired elf dared not have any other thoughts now. Soon, they returned with the holy water and a few green fruits still covered in mud. There wasn't much holy water, only a small bottle, but Simon could sense rich life force in it. The green fruits were the size of durians, entirely emerald green, with wind-like patterns on their surface. Lord Black Dragon, this is our tribe's holy water. Yulina hesitated for a moment before finally revealing a shocking secret. The holy water was refined from the essence of the previous queen's body when she was on the verge of death. As long as one has a breath left, consuming this holy water can restore even the most severe injuries, and even clear any negative status effects imprinted on the body. The unsuspecting elves present were immediately dumbfounded. No one had imagined that the holy water, which had always been treasured and collected by the tribe, was actually made from the dead. Does negative status effect include curses? Simon stared at the holy water with great interest. Yes, consuming the holy water will restore you to your peak condition, Yulina answered confidently. After introducing the holy water, Yulina began to introduce the elemental fruits. This is a wind elemental fruit, a fruit collected by our elven tribe 70 years ago. Consuming it can greatly increase one's affinity for the wind element. It is usually cultivated specifically for the next queen's candidates. Simon simply nodded indifferently. His power had nothing to do with the wind element, so he did not value the wind elemental fruit. However, these fruits could perhaps be given to Andy to cultivate. Failure wouldn't matter. If successful, there would be a continuous supply of wind element fruits. Even with sheer effort, they could create a legendary powerhouse. After absorbing the dragon rune from his palm back into his body and regaining control of the dragon explosion power, Simon extended his hand. Yulina and the long-haired elf obediently handed Simon the holy water and fruits. Simon didn't stand on ceremony and drank the holy water directly. A surge of life energy flowed through his body, and in a short time, Simon's injuries healed, his flesh grew back, and his bones and scales became even harder. Hell, I was wrong after all. The curse left by the blood god hasn't wavered at all. Chapter 86 The Attendant's Tension. Simon chuckled, thinking he could remove the curse from his body with this so-called holy water. How naive! After all, a curse cast by a god himself couldn't be removed by the holy water of a small elven tribe. As for the wind element fruit, he planned to take it back for Andy to plant. The elven tribe's dwellings had long been reduced to ruins in the battle between Simon and AC. Under Simon's orders, the surviving elves began to relocate to Simon's territory. Many of them harbored resentment towards Simon, but what could they do? They couldn't defeat him, and due to the tribe's long isolation, the elves had long lost the ability to live independently in the wild. Back in his territory, his followers stared at Simon in disbelief. Previously, Simon's growth, while rapid, was still predictable, increasing only slightly each time. But this time, Simon's size had almost doubled. He was 100 meters tall, and because he had just broken through to the 9th rank, his aura was still unstable, occasionally spreading outwards. Abby swallowed hard. Lord Black Dragon, you're getting stronger and stronger. At this rate, you'll probably become a legendary powerhouse soon, a force to be reckoned with. At this moment, under Simon's terrifying aura, Abby's previous plan to lead the tribe away from Simon's control gradually dissipated. He glanced down at the spellbook in his hand. After Simon bestowed the spellbook upon him, Abby had been diligently studying the second-tier spell. A flame ignited in his eyes. Now, I have demonstrated my worth before Lord Black Dragon. Whether it's trading with humans or gathering intelligence, I've done an excellent job. I also immediately directed Bray to resolve the previous mistake, and killed all the humans involved, eliminating any potential threats. More importantly, I am a lizardman, not a goblin, a creature utterly despised by humans. I can act as Lord Black Dragon's agent, contacting humans, gathering intelligence, and collecting wealth. As Lord Black Dragon grows stronger, the number of spellbooks and combat techniques he collects will increase. These things will be useless to him, so he will reward us followers. Perhaps I, Abby, will have the chance to glimpse the threshold of the extraordinary in my lifetime. Thinking of this, Abby became increasingly excited. Having witnessed Simon's rapid growth and acquired spellbooks, Abby's loyalty also steadily increased. This is my territory now. You can all find a place to settle down in nearby. Abby, come and show these new followers around the territory, Simon called out. Abby put away her spellbook and smiled obsequiously. All right, Lord Black Dragon, you can rest assured about my work. Turning her head, Abby was stunned when she saw the new group of followers. Not only Abby, but the other lizardmen and goblin followers were also discussing among themselves. Elves, these are elves, right? I heard that elves are the most mysterious creatures in this forest, but I didn't expect that they have all been subdued by Lord Black Dragon, Bray, a 4th-level transcendent, and Goblin, a 2nd-level transcendent, frowned deeply. They both felt immense pressure from the elven followers behind Simon. especially the leading short-haired yellow elf and the long-haired male elf. The aura of these two elves was like a vast ocean, inspiring fear. They felt the pressure. Bray and Goblin had always claimed to be Simon's first and second strongest followers. But now, they had been thoroughly overtaken by this group of elves. This made the two followers uneasy. Compared to the powerful elves, these followers were practically useless. Would Lord Black Dragon find them useless and abandon them? No, they had to think of something. New to this world, Yulina, Yuka, and the other elves were all a little nervous. After all, they had been separated from this world for a long time. Many elves were seeing creatures other than elves for the first time in their lives. Lord Black Dragon, I've discovered a large human settlement in the northwest of the forest. They seem to be mining some kind of stone containing a lot of magic power. Please give the order, and I will lead the Goblin tribe to seize it for you. To avoid being eliminated, Goblin volunteered. Simon thought for a moment. Goblin was referring to the mining sites in the Magic Crystal Forest. Lin City had grown so powerfully thanks to magic crystals, becoming one of the kingdom's main economic cities, possessing not only an army capable of fighting 8th-tier enemies but also a legendary powerhouse. Simon's two raids had both taken advantage of the legendary powerhouse's absence. Magic crystals? Huh? I've never even seen what they look like. Since you're so interested, then go ahead and do it. The magic crystals of the Magic Crystal Forest are one of the most important sources of income for the Mer Kingdom. If Simon were to steal them, the kingdom would definitely send an army. However, Simon wasn't worried. After devouring the legendary elf, his size exceeded 100 meters, his physical body greatly strengthened, and the cunning he could use would be even more powerful. With his 9th-tier strength, plus the full power of the cunning, Simon wouldn't be afraid even of legendary powerhouses. Lord Black Dragon, I certainly won't let you down. Tonight, under the cover of darkness, I'll lead the goblins to seize those magical stones for you. Goblin beamed with joy. Abby immediately stepped forward and kicked Bray in exasperation. This guy Bray's mind was only on training and becoming stronger. How could he let the Goblin tribe enjoy such a good opportunity to make a name for himself? The Lizardman tribe should also get a share. Lord Black Dragon, those humans are numerous and quite powerful. However, it might be unwise for the Goblin tribe to go alone. Fortunately, many warriors in our Lizardman tribe have learned new combat skills. Why don't we have Bray lead the Lizardman warriors along? Simon nodded slightly upon hearing this. He wasn't particularly concerned about magic crystals, they wouldn't increase his size anyway. Let these followers show off if they wanted to. Simon couldn't enter places like mines anyway, so perhaps there would be some unexpected surprises. Andy, come here, I'll give you a new job, Simon called out. Andy, who was working on the mountaintop, quickly flew down. The elf stared wide-eyed upon seeing Andy. This is an elf. Yulina and the elves curiously examined Andy. The long-haired male elf, Yuka, seemed to remember something and said, I've seen this in a magic book. It seems to be a legendary flower elf, capable of cultivating plants with special and miraculous effects. Andy flew over and also saw the elves. However, she was much calmer and didn't make a fuss like the other followers. Simon, what do you want from me? I'm planting peas and sunflowers. I got a lot from the human caravan. And it's really tiring. You'll have to find a few guys to be my subordinates and help me plant them, otherwise I'm going on strike. Chapter 87 Attack on the Mine. Andy flew up to Simon and complained, the workload is too much, I can't handle it all. You have to give me some subordinates, or I'm going on strike. The elves were startled by Andy's tone. Was this guy's courage completely opposite to his size? If the Black Dragon got angry and implicated them, randomly slapping one of the lucky ones to death, how unjust would that be? Wow, Simon, how did you suddenly become so big? Andy belatedly realized. Simon didn't fly into rage as the elves had imagined and slapped this tiny elf, who wasn't even the size of a scale on his body, to death. Instead, Simon looked at him with doting eyes. Come on, don't be angry. I brought you some treasures, you won't let me down, will you? He opened his palm, revealing several wind elemental fruits placed in his palm. Andy stepped forward, looking at the wind elemental fruit almost as big as himself, and exclaimed with delight, wow! This is an elemental fruit. Simon, where did you get it? I promise I'll grow it big for you. I promise I'll help you grow an elemental fruit tree. Andy was overjoyed. Due to the special nature of flower fairies, as long as Andy cultivated sufficiently rare and powerful plants, He could receive feedback from them and become even stronger. This rare elemental fruit would undoubtedly elevate Andy's strength several levels. Simon nodded slightly. Alright, these are all yours. You can plant them. As for manpower, haven't the goblins multiplied a lot recently? Just bring a few over to do odd jobs? Simon looked towards the goblin tribe. After this period of recuperation, the number of goblins had increased dramatically. Currently, the number of goblins had returned to 100. Previously, due to the covetousness of other tribes and various magical beasts, the goblins' expansion was very slow. But now, under Simon's protection, the goblins are no longer in danger and have plenty of food, so they don't need to go hungry. Therefore, the goblins are having a lot of fun breeding. Hearing Simon say this, Andy looked disgusted. No, those goblins are too stupid. Elena's eyes lit up. She thought that the little elf Andy seemed to be favored by Lord Black Dragon. If she could get closer to her, working under Lord Black Dragon would be easier. Thinking of this, Elena took the initiative to speak. Miss Little Elf, we elves are also very good at planting. Why don't we be your subordinates? Andy was overjoyed. Really? That's wonderful. That night, the bright moon was hidden by dark clouds. At a mining site in the magic crystal forest, humans gathered. Hey, have you heard? Lynn City was attacked by a black dragon half a month ago, a middle-aged man with a stubble beard said, holding a wine bottle, his face flushed. You're out of touch? Not only was there a black dragon attack half a month ago, but just this morning, another black dragon attacked Lynn City, and the entire Dragon Warriors and Magic Guild of Lynn City were wiped out. The speaker sighed. I have inside information. I heard that the city lord of Lynn City is furious this time and has offered a bounty of hundreds of thousands of gold coins, hoping to attract a legendary expert to slay the dragon. Ha. I also have some inside information. You probably don't know why the city lord of Lynn City is so angry. Is there another reason? You might not be able to tell you, but the man from the Mages Association. His son and granddaughter were both killed by the black dragon. If the city lord can't defeat this black dragon, he'll be in trouble when that man returns. In the stronghold, the miners, having finished their day's work, were gathered together, drinking and chatting. Speaking of which, the owner of Yan Yan Bar is really hot. If I could sleep with her, I'd die happy. The miners gathered together, and since there was no other entertainment, any topic would be brought up, from national policies to which family's girls were pretty. You guys don't know, do you? The owner of Yan Yan Bar actually doesn't like men. When I went drinking the other day, I saw a young and pretty girl flirting with her. Their relationship was ambiguous. As soon as this was said, all the men present jumped up. I was thinking of saving up more money and then going back to pursue the owner. My dream is shattered. I have no purpose in life anymore. Get lost. Is your purpose in life just women? The crowd burst into laughter. After a few rounds of drinks, the workers were all a little drunk. The bearded uncle who had mentioned the black dragon's attack on Lynn City earlier slowly stood up. Boren, where are you going? Someone asked. The bearded man rolled his eyes. Do I have to report to you when I go to pee? Are you my manhood? Laughter erupted again from the crowd, creating a lively atmosphere. The bearded man walked into the bushes, intending to relieve himself casually. Just as he unzipped his pants, a cold glint flashed. The bearded man clutched his crotch and screamed. From the jungle, a small, dwarf-like creature, entirely green, slowly emerged, wielding a dagger. Why, the weapon I got from the human merchant is really useful, the goblin shouted happily. The humans in the stronghold were immediately drawn to the commotion, their eyes widening in alarm. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Goblins are attacking! A dense mass of eyes appeared in the jungle behind them, prompting shouts. Mere goblins dare to cause trouble here? You're asking for death, a burly man said menacingly, wielding a pickaxe. The goblin slowly emerged from among the goblins. I've learned a new combat technique, time to try it out. He was barehanded, his fighting spirit radiating. He crushed the head of the bearded man who was clutching his crotch and howling in pain, then pounced on the burly man. Flame fist, Goblin's fist burst into flames. The burly man also charged forward, unleashing the aura of a first-level transcendent. Wow, a transcendent, I didn't expect Knight to be a transcendent. He's been hiding it for so long, with a transcendent here, it seems we don't even need soldiers. Knight can take care of these goblins by himself. Listening to his colleagues' discussions, the burly man's lips curled up, feeling pleased and exhilarated. He had been hiding for so long, just for this moment. How could he let such a good opportunity to show off slip by? As for these goblins, Knight clearly didn't take them seriously, even though the goblin in front of him was quite large and knew how to use combat techniques. But the next second, the burly man froze. His iron pickaxe was shattered by Goblin's punch. Before he could say anything more, another punch landed on his face. His head shattered like a watermelon. Chapter 88 Kingdom sends troops. In the capital city of the Moor Kingdom, the obese king, with his large head and ears, sat huddled on his throne. His body was so bloated that even sitting motionless, he was still covered in sweat. At this moment, a beautiful woman, possessing unparalleled beauty, gently wiped the sweat from his face with a fragrant handkerchief. Your Majesty, news has come from Windmill Town. Vampires have attacked the town and abducted many villagers, an official below reported solemnly. The sweating, obese king nodded slightly. Just vampires. Offer a bounty and let the adventurers handle it. Next matter, the obese king waved his hand, dismissing the vampire incident. Similar monster attacks on towns were far too frequent for the kingdom to handle. Unless it was extremely urgent, the kingdom usually entrusted such matters to adventurers. Lin City was attacked by a black dragon, suffering heavy casualties. The Magic Guild and the War Dragon army were completely wiped out. Upon hearing this, both the king and the officials present gasped in shock. The person reporting the news continued, not only that, even the son and granddaughter of the mage Kadio died at the hands of this black dragon. Everyone gasped again. Clearly, Lin City was blaming Simon for Cassie's death as well. Although Simon was the one who killed her, the Lord of Lin City couldn't find the young dragon who had caused the trouble, so he simply shifted the blame entirely onto Simon. In addition, an urgent report came from Lin City this morning that the Black Dragon and his followers had occupied the mines in the Magic Crystal Forest. Silence fell upon the scene. After a long while, the obese king slowly spoke. The magic crystals of the Magic Crystal Forest are one of the important sources of income for our kingdom. No matter how strong that black dragon is, we must take them back. General Husha, you will lead an army of 100,000 to slaughter that black dragon. Yes, General Husha responded. Alright, if there's nothing else, you may leave. The obese king sighed and waved his hand to dismiss his subordinates. Minister Hao, you stay. I have something to say to you. The subordinates all retreated, leaving only a richly dressed man with a pointed, monkey-like face. Your Majesty, be careful. A maid helped the obese king up. Alright, you may leave too. The obese king waved his hand. The maid then walked towards the palace exit. Only the obese king and the pointed-faced Minister Hao remained in the entire hall. Your Majesty, you've been working very hard lately, Minister Hao said with a sly smile. The obese king nodded with a smile. Then let's begin. Minister Hao nodded slightly, then reached out and placed his hand on the obese king's body. The next moment, a horrifying scene unfolded. The flesh on the obese king's body throbbed continuously, like a water-filled balloon shaking, the skin swelling and contracting due to the movement of the water inside. Time passed, and half an hour went by. The obese king was nowhere to be seen in the main hall. Only ministers and a handsome, naked man, his clothes having fallen off due to ill-fitting fit, remained. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Congratulations on your breakthrough, a minister said, bowing in congratulations. The king's muscles were strong and well-defined, revealing a perfect golden physique. He clenched his fist, feeling the power. Gazing into the distance, his gaze was deep and unfathomable. The Moor Kingdom is determined to unify the southern continent. Any enemy who stands in my way will be utterly annihilated. Black Dragon, let's start with you and demonstrate the kingdom's formidable power. Following the king's gaze, General Husha had already assembled an army of 100,000. Their imposing presence was awe-inspiring and domineering. Meanwhile, in the Magic Crystal Forest, Simon was unaware that the Moor Kingdom had already deployed soldiers to slay the dragon. The Magic Crystal Mine had been successfully occupied by his followers. Simon arrived at the mine, curiously playing with the magic crystals in his hands. So this is a magic crystal. Nothing special, but the magic power inside is very stable and easy to draw out. If it's crafted, it might be able to function as a magic power bank, Simon pondered, quickly figuring out the magic crystal's potential. With a muttered sound, Simon tossed a few magic crystals into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, the sound of chewing filled the air as Simon's strong teeth crushed the crystals and swallowed them. Consuming a magic crystal increases size by 0.0001 meters. Simon spat in disgust, It tastes awful, and it doesn't increase size much. It's really a useless stone. However, if it's processed into a magic power bank, it should be marketable and I could make a fortune. But what use is mortal money to me? Even a legendary powerhouse like me might not be able to defeat me now. If I want something, I'll just go and rob it. Simon sighed. Being too powerful was a problem. The surrounding followers twitched at Simon's words. Please share some of this trouble with us, Simon said, then turned and left, ignoring the others. Alright, you can handle this mine yourselves. If you want to make money, you can find some craftsmen to process the magic crystals into products that can more easily absorb magic power. The goblins and lizardmen were eager to try. They had realized the benefits of trading with humans. Besides obtaining powerful combat skills and spellbooks, they could also acquire excellent equipment and daily necessities, such as warm and comfortable clothing. These were things that the lizardmen and goblins could not make. Trading with humans would not only bring a better life to the tribe, but would also directly affect their combat power. Chief Abby, what should we do with these magic crystals? A lizardman asked the tribe's wise leader. Abby had been diligently studying spellbooks for the past 2 days. Because she didn't understand how magic power worked, Abby had also learned some basic combat skills. Through these 2 days of research, Abby had also developed a touch of extraordinary charisma. Lord Black Dragon is far more powerful and intelligent than we imagined. Under his leadership, our tribe's lives have improved dramatically, and the number of extraordinary warriors in the tribe has also increased. This time, I think listening to Lord Black Dragon's advice won't go wrong. This was no longer the Abby who was always thinking about escaping Simon's control. Faced with enormous profits, even a traitor like Abby had completely become Simon's devoted follower. But where are we going to find people who can process magic crystals? Goblin stepped forward. Magic crystals were Simon's property, and goblins were his followers, so they could get a share. Dwarves should be more skilled in this area. Yuka and Yulina stepped forward. They were now also Simon's followers and wanted to secure their own interests. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Two Elves. Dwarves? Where are we going to find dwarves? Goblin asked, spreading his hands. The long-haired elf, Yuka, replied, I read in a book that dwarves are a race skilled in forging. As for how to find them, I have no idea. Yuka mimicked Goblin's gesture, spreading his hands as well. Then, Yuka picked up a magic crystal. The humans had already mined quite a few magic crystals. Even if these followers didn't go into the mines to collect them, it would be enough for a while. Yuka carefully sensed it. He was also a mage, and his perception of magic was far superior to Simon's. The magic in the crystal can indeed be absorbed by mages, although it's not very pure, far inferior to magic that one can condense and recover oneself. But if used in an emergency during battle, it's quite good. Yuka genuinely admired Simon. From the moment he orchestrated the queen's suicide, Yuka knew that Simon was a black dragon with both strength and brains. But the idea of a so-called power bank still greatly surprised Yuka. The elves gazed with great curiosity at the magical crystals imbued with magic. A daring fantasy surfaced in their minds. Could detonating all the magical crystals in the mine kill Simon? But this idea was quickly dismissed. Perhaps it was possible to kill the powerful black dragon, but the greatest difficulty lay in how to detonate the entire mine's magical crystals and trap Simon within them. Simon had slaughtered the elven tribe, killing countless of his own kind. These elves had long harbored deep hatred for him. Their submission was entirely out of necessity, a humiliating choice made under Simon's tyranny. Did Simon know the elves' thoughts? Clearly, he did. But why did he still take these elves as his followers? There were 2 reasons. First, it was a system mission. Second, Simon possessed absolute confidence, bordering on arrogance, and he wasn't afraid of the elven tribe's betrayal. Given Simon's growth rate, he believed he would soon become a legend. At that time, even if the elves wanted to betray Simon, it would be futile. Now, the followers were struggling with how to extract the value from the magical crystals. Entering the city was definitely out of the question. The lizardmen and goblin tribes hadn't wiped out all the humans when they attacked the mines. Many already knew it was the lizardmen and goblins who were responsible. However, the humans were still unaware of the Black Dragon Lord's newly acquired elven follower. As a wise elder of the lizardman tribe, Abby quickly devised an excellent plan. To sell these magic crystals, firstly, we need a market, secondly, we need to know what price is appropriate, and of course, most importantly, we currently lack craftsmen capable of processing and refining the magic crystals. Abby succinctly summarized their current needs and shortcomings. Even Yuka and Yulina, who were older and stronger than Abby, nodded in agreement. So, how do we solve this? Goblin asked curiously. Unlike Bray, who purely pursued brute force, Goblin was curious about everything and wanted to understand more. Yuka and Yulina also looked at him. The isolated elves were also very curious about what solution this lizardman could offer. We don't have any, but humans do. We just need to bring over the artisans who can process magic crystals, and then capture a few human merchants to control their sales channels. All these problems will be solved, Abby explained. Goblin scratched his head. Old lizard. Even though I'm not the brightest, I know that to capture artisans we have to go to human cities, but we can't get in at all. Abby shook his head. It's not about us going, it's about them going. He pointed to the elves. Humans don't know about the elves. Even if those humans fear Lord Black Dragon, they wouldn't be wary of the elves. So as long as you openly enter the city and lure out those artisans, we can directly threaten them into serving us with force, Abby said menacingly. Unconsciously, this kind-hearted lizardman had also learned Simon's tyrannical methods. Yulina and Yuka exchanged a glance. Okay, let us handle this, the two elves nodded. Then the followers began to discuss the specific plan. Having interacted with humans before, Abby easily devised a plan. He assigned Yulina and Yuka the identity of elven merchants. They were to take some goods into Lin City, disguise themselves as merchants, and then use the opportunity to trick or forcibly bring out a few artisans. Lizardmen and goblins weren't actually that bad at manual labor. Once they learned the techniques of making magic crystals from the human artisans, the kind-hearted Abby would let them go home. In reality, it didn't need to be so complicated. Abby was unaware that the two elves before him were actually 7th-tier extraordinary powerhouses. And Lin City, because of Simon the previous day, didn't have enough armed forces to fight two 7th-tier extraordinary powerhouses. The two elves could easily capture the artisans with a simple move. The elves didn't bother to reveal their strength. Having been isolated from the world for many years, they had no idea of the actual strength of the outside world. Thus, under Abby's arrangement, Yulina and Yuka, the two elves, took some money and goods to Lin City. As the two elves emerged from the forest and saw the towering town, a flicker of excitement crossed their eyes. Having been confined to their small elven tribe, who wouldn't yearn to see the outside world? Hey, Yulina, why did you kill your sister and lead the tribe to surrender to the Black Dragon? Once they were out of the forest and sure there were no Simon spies around, Yuka finally asked Yulina the question that had been on her mind. Yulina replied, my sister was too foolish. She ran away from the tribe before she was queen, fell in love with a human, and had a child. She wasn't a proper queen. Just for that reason, you killed your sister. Yuka's expression was blank. Although Simon had forced the Elven Queen to commit suicide, Yuka knew that if Yulina hadn't stabbed AC, leaving her heartbroken, she wouldn't have taken her own life. A shadow fell over Yulina's face. HMPH, my talent is no less than my sister's. Why did mother choose that stupid woman as queen? Why are all the tribe's resources used to improve my sister's strength? If it were me, I could definitely do better than my sister. At least I wouldn't be foolish enough to break the tribe's barrier just because of a human. Yuka was speechless. He hadn't expected Yulina to harbor such resentment and jealousy towards the previous queen's choice for so many years. Chapter 90 The Elf's Thoughts and the 100,000 Strong Army. A biased family will obviously have a huge impact on the children. As the heir to the throne, Aisha will naturally be favored by her mother. Perhaps the two sisters' mother was strict, or perhaps she was kind. But since she was raising the next queen, she would inevitably invest a lot of effort. Even legendary powerhouses have limited energy and cannot care for both children at the same time. Yulina, who had been neglected by her mother for decades, had already become resentful, which is why she betrayed her own sister. Now that you have taken on the responsibility of the queen, do you really intend to lead the tribe to follow the Black Dragon? Yuka continued to ask. Don't forget, the Black Dragon slaughtered hundreds of our elven tribe. The elven tribe originally had a population of nearly 1,000, but under Simon's attack, the elven tribe's population was drastically reduced. This is undoubtedly a blood feud that cannot be easily forgiven. Yulina shook her head. The black dragon's strength is far too great for us to contend with. For now, we can only feign compliance. Once we find an opportunity, I will lead my people away, and perhaps we can even take a piece of his flesh. The black dragon is arrogant and conceited. With his intelligence, he naturally knows we are not truly subjugated, yet he still chooses to subdue us to satisfy his vanity. I believe that opportunity will come soon. As for now, all we can do is submit. Yulina's gaze was deep, like a galaxy in the sky, brilliant and mysterious. Yuka nodded, agreeing with Yulina's words. Simon, this black dragon, was indeed too arrogant. Excessive rigidity leads to breakage, and arrogance leads to regression. Although the two elves had little contact with society, they had learned a great deal from books. Halt! What are you doing here? The guards of Lin City stopped them. Yulina replied, we are elven merchants. The guards merely glanced at the two elves. As a major city for magic crystal trade, Lin City frequently attracts outsiders to purchase magic crystals. Therefore, Lin City actually has a considerable number of non-human races. However, recently, due to the Black Dragon, the number of lizardmen in Lin City has decreased significantly. Many innocent lizardmen have been implicated and forced to leave the city. Merchants need to pay 5 silver coins to enter the city, and then pay a certain tax based on the goods they bring. The guard winked, signaling Yuka, who was carrying a large bundle behind her, to open it. Yuka hesitated for a moment, then obediently opened it. Inside were gleaming coins, along with a dazzling array of goods. There wasn't anything particularly valuable among them. These items only require 2 more coins, making it 12 silver coins for the two of you. The guard's tone was arrogant, as if his status were something extraordinary. The elves didn't think much of it. Their understanding of currency was actually quite limited. They only knew that the currency in human society consisted of copper coins, silver coins, and gold coins. Since Abi had given them a considerable amount of money beforehand, the two elves assumed the 12 silver coins entrance fee wasn't high. They paid the money directly and entered the city. After the elves left, the guard who had received the money wore a smug smile. My judgment of character was indeed excellent. These two elves are obviously rich country bumpkins. What respectable merchant carries such a large bundle? He shook the coins in his hand. I've earned a full 5 silver coins this time. Time to go drinking again. The two elves, now in unfamiliar territory, knew nothing of the place. However, they hadn't forgotten their main purpose in coming to Lin City. They began searching for artisans who could process magic crystals. Because they were unfamiliar with many areas, the two elves encountered setbacks everywhere in Lin City. Fortunately, their exceptional strength, coupled with the generous amount of money Abi had given them, prevented them from ending up homeless. It was the 3rd day in Lin City. The elves found a craftsman and offered him a high reward, enough to keep him from working for a whole year after completing the job, before he agreed to go out and process magic crystals. Just as the elves were preparing to leave Lin City with the craftsman, the earth trembled. Looking into the distance, a vast, densely packed army, like a torrent, was rapidly approaching. The banners of the Moor Kingdom were particularly conspicuous among the troops. It's the royal army. I didn't expect the royal city to send such a large army. They're probably here for the Black Dragon. At the city gates of Lin City, people discussed the arrival of the army. Because Simon's followers had seized the magic crystal mines in the magic crystal forest, the price of magic crystals in Lin City had skyrocketed. Only because Lin City had a considerable stock of magic crystals would there be a situation of high prices but no market. This made the merchants who came to Lin City to do business all hate Simon. Therefore, when the royal army arrived, the merchants all looked on with schadenfreude. Where is the Lord of Lin City? General Hushak, have arrived. Why don't you come out and greet me at once? A burly man in red robes and wielding a spear shouted from the front of the army. The instant the armored man spoke, a figure leaped out from within the city. General Hushak, I've been waiting for you for a long time. This man was none other than the Lord of Lin City. Simon's monopolization of the magic crystal mines not only affected the interests of merchants but also put immense pressure on the Lord of Lin City. Besides the soaring price of magic crystals, the deaths of the Mage Guild president's son and granddaughter were also causing him considerable distress. He had already sent word to Cadio, who was exchanging magic at the Star Tower in the Royal City, but unfortunately, Cadio seemed to be in seclusion and hadn't received the news yet. If the legendary mage returned, killing a black dragon would be a piece of cake. The Lord wouldn't have to suffer from insomnia due to the pressure. These days, the Lord's hair was falling out in clumps, his already thinning hair becoming even thinner with age. General Husha, and all warriors, hurry into the city and get some rest. Let Lin City treat you well, the city lord said with a beaming smile. General Husha shook his head. I came here today to eliminate the Black Dragon. We'll talk about hospitality after I've killed it. Now tell me where the Black Dragon is. The city lord hesitated for a moment, but still took out a map of the magic crystal forest from his robes. General Husha, I've already sent men to scout it out. That Black Dragon is arrogant and domineering, his territory is right here, the city lord pointed to the map. General Husha nodded slightly, put away the map, and turned to his 100,000 strong army, calling out, continue forward. Target, Black Dragon's territory. The 100,000 strong army sped towards the magic crystal forest. The deafening sound of hooves echoed through the sky. Chapter 91 I am terrifyingly strong now. The 100,000 strong army from the royal city was a formidable force. The entire city of Lin was abuzz with discussion. Some believed the Black Dragon was doomed, while others thought it would escape. The Black Dragon had not only seized control of the magic crystal mines, but had also wreaked havoc in Lin, killing countless soldiers, earning it widespread hatred and resentment. Surprisingly, not a single person in the vast city of Lin felt pity for the Black Dragon, they only wished for its demise. The city lord was overjoyed. The thought of the Black Dragon's impending death lifted all his burdens, making him feel much lighter. Yoka, what do you think about this? Elena turned to the long-haired elf beside her and asked. Yuka pondered for a moment, then replied, this matter cannot be concealed. The human army's movements are extremely large, and they are openly marching towards our territory with a clear objective. We are currently under their control, and a slight misstep could lead to the destruction of our tribe. My suggestion is that we must inform the Black Dragon of this before the army arrives or before our followers discover it. Otherwise, we could easily be accused of withholding information, or even of treason. Elena nodded in agreement. Her face was serious. That's right. The Black Dragon is far too powerful. We must be extremely careful. Following this enemy is like walking on the edge of a cliff. A slight misstep could result in our demise. Yuka sighed inwardly. All of this was because Elena betrayed her own sister, leading to the legendary elf's suicide. But was Elena truly driven by her mother's favoritism? Not necessarily. Perhaps Elena simply coveted the queen's position and power. Neither humans nor elves would readily reveal their true thoughts to others. The human craftsman listening to the two elves' conversation had a truly fascinating expression. He was initially bewildered, then his face filled with terror. You two aren't merchants, you're the Black Dragon's followers. What do you want with me, luring me out of the city? I love my wife dearly, and my orientation is perfectly normal. Even if you have a face more beautiful than a woman's, it's no use. The muscular craftsman clutched his chest, looking like a helpless young girl facing a thug. Yuka's lips twitched. Looking at the unkempt, greasy-haired craftsman in his faded blue vest, she felt a headache coming on. The craftsman's loud shout immediately attracted the attention of those around them. At this crucial time, the words Black Dragon were undoubtedly taboo. Any discussion of it would draw attention. Damn it, I forgot the craftsman was still here, Elena sighed, rubbing her forehead. Whatever, we've already found him, let's just grab him and take him back. Yuka shrugged, grabbed the craftsman's shoulder, and with a surge of wind element around her, she and the two of them soared into the sky. The captured craftsman cried out in grief and indignation, even if you have my body, you can't have my heart. Lucy, I love you, even if my pure body is defiled, I will still love you. No one paid any attention to the craftsman. The city lord of Lin City frowned deeply. The elves are actually the Black Dragon's followers. As the lord of a city, he naturally knew the secret of the elven tribe in the magic crystal forest. He also knew about Kane's love affair with an elf and the birth of a daughter. He just didn't expect that the elves would also become the Black Dragon's followers. What exactly happened in the magic crystal forest in the past month? The city lord wondered. The two elves in the sky exuded an aura, their 7th level extraordinary strength causing the surrounding birds and beasts to stay away. The captured craftsman trembled even more, already imagining the scene of being driven and humiliated by the two elves. Possessing the 7th level extraordinary strength, they were very fast, and in a short time, they surpassed the royal army and returned to the Black Dragon's territory first. Lord Black Dragon, the humans have dispatched an army of 100,000. which is heading this way. Yulina knelt on one knee to report the news. Simon, who had been resting with his eyes closed, slowly opened them upon hearing this. His vertical dragon pupils were enough to make one's heart tremble at just a glance. 100,000 troops, Simon spoke, intrigued. That's quite interesting. Let me think, is it because the magic crystals have been seized? Yes, magic crystals are the main source of income for Lin City and an important way for the entire kingdom to make money. And my seizure of the magic crystals is tantamount to declaring war on the kingdom. It's normal for the human kingdom to send troops. If the kingdom does nothing, it will be looked down upon by other kingdoms. A weak nation is easily invaded. Simon understood the reason why the Moor kingdom had sent troops after only a moment's thought. Goblin's face turned green immediately after hearing Simon's analysis. His already green face became even more unsightly. I'm so sorry, Lord Black Dragon. I just wanted to do something for you, but I never expected to cause such trouble. Goblin knelt on the ground, banging his head against the earth repeatedly. No one around stopped him. The lizardmen were terrified, trembling. Abby also knelt and kowtowed, imitating Goblin. The captured human craftsman, witnessing the scene, immediately formed a brutal first impression of Simon. It's over, it's over. I'm only 48 years old, am I going to die young? Simon changed his posture, standing up from his prone position. His expression was arrogant, his tone unrestrained. It's alright, just an army of 100,000. Perfect for testing my current strength, I feel. I'm terrifyingly strong now. Simon stretched his body. For the past 3 days, he had been resting with his eyes closed. The continuous battles had exhausted him, but after 3 days of rest, Simon had reached his peak in terms of energy, spirit, and physical condition. Let me see what kind of power I can unleash now. With that, Simon took the initiative to walk towards Lin City. He didn't fly, instead, he strolled forward. His followers hesitated for a moment, then decided to follow, to see if they could help Simon. Simon walked leisurely, as if taking a stroll. Soon, Simon encountered an army of 100,000. The followers' expressions changed instantly. Not a single ordinary person was in this army of 100,000, they were all extraordinary warriors. The weakest among them was at least at the second level of the extraordinary realm. The general leading them, with a murderous aura soaring to the sky, possessed the 8th level of the extraordinary realm. Before such an army, below the legendary level, probably no one could stand against them. You are the black dragon who seized the magic crystal. General Husha, holding a spear, looked up at Simon. From a distance, he looked alright, but up close, he was truly startled. As a general of the Moor Kingdom, Husha had seen many adult dragons. Possessing the strength of the 8th level of the extraordinary realm, even in a one-on-one fight, Husha was not afraid of any adult dragon. But upon seeing Simon's enormous size, they couldn't help but be shocked. This was a dragon exceeding 100 meters in length, its strength unfathomable. Chapter 92 Unleashing Full Power. One move deals 70,000 damage. A human army, that's quite a number. Simon squinted, looking at the densely packed army, and couldn't help but be astonished. 100,000 troops, perfectly aligned, exuding an overwhelming aura of ferocity. Faced with such a massive army, even Simon felt a little nervous. Black Dragon Lord, should we retreat? This army is terrifying, a goblin said tremblingly. Simon turned his head and blew a breath. A single breath sent the goblin flying several meters away. Simon sneered, look at you, coward. Get back somewhere safe, or you'll get killed by the aftershocks. The followers were still shaken. It seemed they couldn't participate in this massive battle. But there was an exception. Goblin shouted, Black Dragon Lord, I caused all this. Please let me fight for you. Goblin stepped forward, and Brave followed suit. Please let me join the battle too. Abby's eyes twitched. Because Goblin and Bray had fought together in numerous battles, large and small, they had developed a very close bond. The fearless Andy hesitated for a moment, but still stepped forward. Standing atop Goblin's head, hands on her hips, she declared, Goblin is my little brother, I won't abandon you. Boss Simon, let me join the fight. I recently gained the ability to create illusions from the nearly mature Fairy Flower King, it'll definitely be useful. Andy pumped her fist. Everyone, Goblin wept with emotion. Simon rolled his eyes. These followers weren't very strong, but their relationship was quite close. Step back, with your strength, you probably wouldn't last a second. Simon braced himself on the ground and stepped forward. Perfect for testing my full power now. The followers didn't advance. They began to retreat, fearing being caught in the crossfire. Yulina, if the Black Dragon and this powerful army fought, who would be stronger? Yuke asked. Yulina, her expression serious, carefully observed Simon and his 100,000-strong army. Naturally, the human army is far stronger. Even a Black Dragon cannot withstand such a terrifying army. Yuke nodded, clearly agreeing. Even the strongest Black Dragon has its limitations. If the army could kill the Black Dragon, it would be a great benefit to the entire elven tribe. Not only Simon's followers were watching, but many in Lin City were also observing the Black Dragon from across the battlefield. This Black Dragon, what a massive size! An ordinary Black Dragon is already enormous at 30 meters, but this one is probably over 100. Not only that, in my years as a merchant traveling far and wide, I've seen not only enormous creatures, but also creatures with vastly different appearances. Ordinary Black Dragons are skin and bones, hence the name Skull Dragon, but this one is muscular and robust, more like a red dragon with black scales. Many praised Simon's appearance. Such a massive and powerful Black Dragon is truly rare in the world today. However, some voiced their objections, as many still wished Simon did. It's just a Black Dragon. Even if it's powerful, what can it do? His magic, his breath, can they possibly withstand an army of 100,000? These words silenced those who had previously praised Simon. Clearly, no one believed Simon had a chance, thinking he would be utterly crushed by the 100,000-strong army. At this moment, the army moved. Warriors, kill! General Hughes roared. The warriors behind him immediately echoed, kill! Battle intent surged. The entire army enveloped in golden light, their aura rising steadily. This move. I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. A scene flashed through Simon's mind. It was the War Dragon army of Lin City. However, the War Dragon army concentrated all their battle intent on one person, while the army before him used intertwined battle intent, using battle intent to nurture battle intent, further enhancing the strength of the entire army. Very good combat technique, especially suitable for use in the army, but if you want to fight me, Simon's expression gradually turned cold. You are courting death, ZZZZT. Lightning flash, lightning crackled, Simon's body was enveloped in lightning, his aura increasing. He raised his right hand high, grasping at the sky. Ancient dragon lightning spear, thick red lightning instantly condensed in Simon's hand, forming an ancient dragon lightning spear. The length of the ancient dragon lightning spear was linked to Simon's size. Now that Simon's size exceeded 100 meters, the length of the ancient dragon lightning spear naturally also exceeded 100 meters. A seemingly towering red lightning spear was tightly gripped by Simon. His aura exploded, and countless people were terrified by the aura of the red lightning spear with just a glance. Terrifying, what a terrifying move. Just how strong is this Black Dragon? If this move hits, the consequences are unimaginable, the crowd exclaimed in amazement. Even with the added boost of fighting spirit, many in the army still felt fear. My God, is such a powerful attack going to hit me? I'm just a lowly soldier at the third level of the extraordinary realm. How can I withstand this attack? The warriors wavered, their fighting spirit waned, and the golden light dimmed. Simon, however, was not satisfied. Not enough, not enough. This is not my full strength. Simon took a deep breath, his gaze sharpened, and he roared, 4 times Kayakin. A red aura emanated from Simon's body, and his aura surged fourfold. The ancient dragon thunder spear in his hand suddenly expanded. Not enough. 5 times, 6 times Kayakin. Simon exerted all his strength, his muscles bulged, his entire body expanded several times, and his aura rose steadily. The ancient dragon thunder spear in his hand reached a terrifying level. A red lightning spear, a full 600 meters long, shone in Simon's hand. Everyone was dumbfounded. Retreat, retreat from here quickly. Abby realized the danger immediately. He was not an extraordinary realm user, but he also realized the power of this attack. At Abby's shout, his followers came to their senses and retreated as if their lives depended on it. The human army wasn't so lucky. The ancient dragon lightning spear plunged straight into the ground. Boom boom boom, thunder erupted. Light. Endless light enveloped the area. The lightning raged, leaving nothing but desolation in its wake. The sand was submerged by the lightning, and the warriors couldn't even utter a cry of agony. The lightning dissipated quickly, leaving behind only a black dragon, a charred corpse of a transcendent 8th-tier human, and a massive crater. The other human warriors caught in the blast were wiped out without even a trace. Retreat. Retreat now, this black dragon is terrifying. We're no match for it. Retreat. It's a monster, General Husha said. Even with a fighting spirit of 100,000 troops, we couldn't withstand a single attack from this black dragon. More than half of us are dead or wounded. That one attack killed at least 70,000 people. Chapter 93 Arrogant and overbearing. Crimson lightning raged, engulfing everything in its path. A deafening roar, like an earth dragon churning, crashed down from the sky. The world seemed to fall into deathly silence under this attack. The spear tip pierced the ground, lightning slithering like a python at incredible speed. Any creature touched by it was instantly vaporized. The earth was left in ruins. A fierce wind arose from the impact. "Ah, I'm going to be blown away." The little elf Andy clung tightly to Goblin's ear, his body flying backward. Abby, having witnessed Simon unleash the ancient dragon lightning spear, had already foreseen the dire situation and had ordered all her followers to retreat at full speed. It was this action that prevented her followers from being hit by the aftershocks. Simon's full-force attack was terrifying. Even hundreds of meters away, the aftershocks were enough to kill these ordinary creatures who hadn't become transcendents. Truly unparalleled power, Bray murmured, his eyes gleaming with admiration. Most of the followers shared the same thought as Bray. They admired Simon's power and grew even more awe. What terrifying power! 100,000 human soldiers were routed in a single move. Doesn't that mean even powerful human kingdoms are no match for us? Abby's pupils constricted. He knew of Simon's strength, but didn't understand just how strong. Now, watching Simon kill 70,000 enemies and repel 100,000, Abby realized that Simon's power far exceeded his imagination. Who? To be able to follow Lord Simon and become his follower is truly the Lizardman tribe's good fortune. Abby's eyes were filled with fanaticism. Simon was not only powerful, but becoming his follower also offered the opportunity to become a superhuman and a way to make money. Now, if anyone told Abby that following Simon only had disadvantages, Abby would definitely punch them hard. The goblins were the same, their faces filled with fanaticism and worship. The elves, on the other hand, were astonished. They hadn't expected Simon's strength to increase to such an extent after consuming Queen Ac. Yuka and Yulina exchanged glances, their eyes revealing deep apprehension. If Simon continued to grow stronger, the elven tribe would likely have no hope of revenge. But the elven tribe was powerless at this point. On the opposite side, the humans, witnessing the scene, were dumbfounded, speechless with terror. After a long while, watching the fleeing soldiers, the city lord of Lin City finally reacted. His legs went weak, and he collapsed to the ground. How could this be? Ha, it's fake, it's all fake. General Husha, a transcendent 8th-level general, leading an army of 100,000, was no match for the Black Dragon in a single move. As the Black Dragon's neighbor, Lin City's future was predictable. The city lord couldn't accept this fact and went into a frenzy, babbling incoherently. The 100,000-strong army arrived quickly and retreated just as fast. Simon looked down at the fleeing soldiers, making no intention of pursuing them. He believed that once this news spread, the royal city would surely send an even stronger opponent. Simon thought to himself, in the vast kingdom of Moor, there's no dragon army or monster army. Simon could simply wait for food to be delivered to his doorstep. Awesome, Simon roared, throwing his head back. Using the 6 times Kaioken was already the limit of his body. Every cell in Simon's body ached slightly. But Simon enjoyed this pain even more. Human kingdoms are nothing special. To ensure the kingdom of Moor would continue to send troops, Simon spoke rudely, deliberately provoking conflict. Simon scoffed, lay down again on all fours, and turned to leave. Human intelligence travels very quickly. In less than half a day, the matter had become the talk of the town. Everyone in the entire kingdom of Moor was talking about it. Have you heard? A 100-meter-long black dragon appeared in the magic crystal forest of Lin City. The royal city sent 100,000 troops, but 70,000 were killed in a single move. Not only that, that black dragon was arrogant and domineering, acting with unparalleled arrogance. It's said that the royal city sent troops to subdue it because it had seized the mineral veins of the magic crystal forest. After being defeated by the black dragon, it even dared to provoke the kingdom. What? I remember it was General Husha who led the 100,000 troops. General Husha is a top-tier expert at the 8th level of the extraordinary realm. Hell, I wonder who is stronger, this black dragon or Moonlight Ice Dance. Moonlight Ice Dance, Adura, a legendary white dragon, ravaged the northern part of the southern continent. Because of her elegant movements, like a beautiful woman dancing under the moonlight, she earned the title Moonlight Ice Dance. Now that Simon has repelled an army of 100,000 in one move, naturally people will compare him to Moonlight Ice Dance. In the royal city, a tall tower stands. The tower was mysterious, surrounded by dense magical energy, the most enigmatic building in the royal city. Inside, a gaunt old man sat, his face filled with sorrow. Cain, in my pursuit of higher realms of magic, I've neglected you for so many years. I thought we extraordinary beings had lifespans exceeding those of ordinary people, so I assumed we'd have a long time together, that I could pursue the mysteries of magic first, but, at this point, the old man's nose tingled, and tears streamed down his face. How could you die like that? His voice choked, and he gradually broke down in sobs. This man was none other than Cadio, the president of the Lin City Magicians Association, a legendary magician. He had been immersed in magical research for some time, and upon emerging from seclusion, he received the tragic news of his son and granddaughter's deaths. Mage Cadio, don't grieve. Since your loved ones have been killed, you must pull yourself together and avenge your children. Before Cadio, a lion spoke in human language, offering words of comfort. This lion had a peculiar appearance. His entire body was ethereal, like a mysterious galaxy, dotted with starlight, and the mane on his neck shone like dazzling stars. Thank you, Brother Lion, I will pull myself together. Cadio wiped away his tears, nodded, and stood up to walk out of the tower. The Star Lion hesitated for a moment, looking at Cadio's appearance, but still followed. Mage Cadio, let me go with you. That black dragon seems quite strong. If you can't defeat him, I can help you. Then thank you very much, Brother Lion. After saying that, Cadio reached out and a staff flew from the corner of the wall. This staff was also extraordinary, completely black, made of extraterrestrial meteorite, capable of greatly enhancing the power of related magic. Cadio gripped the staff tightly, and with a casual wave, the man and the lion soared into the sky. A gale rushed towards them, but it was obviously nothing to these two legendary powerhouses. Star Lion exclaimed in admiration, Mage Cadio, your gravity magic is becoming more and more exquisite. Combined with the star magic you obtained from the goddess of faith, your strength is extremely powerful even among the legendary figures. Chapter 94. A nobody who isn't even a legend. Cadio, a legendary mage, possessed exceptional talent in gravity magic, mastering both gravity manipulation for flight and enemy suppression. While not particularly adept at offensive attacks, he overcame this weakness by mastering star magic after embracing the star goddess. Cadio, the legendary mage, was not only skilled in attack but also adept at defense, movement, and suppression. Brother Lion, you flatter me. I've only been a believer in the goddess for a short time, and my mastery of star magic is still lacking. Compared to you, favored by the goddess, I'm far behind. Cadio humbly shook his head. With Star Lion on his back, Cadio sped off. The royal city was quite a distance from Lin City, and Cadio, lacking teleportation magic, could only rely on gravity magic for rapid flight. Even so, with the power of a legendary mage, Cadio's speed was still remarkable. He arrived at Lin City in just half a day. Mage Cadio, the black dragon is powerful, let's be cautious. Let's rest for a while to recover our magic power before seeking revenge, Star Lion suggested. Cadio nodded in agreement. He brought the Star Lion to the Magicians Association. Along the way, members of the Magicians Association who recognized Cadio all lowered their heads, not daring to speak. Guards, Cadio roared. Inside the Magicians Association, several elderly men slowly approached, their heads bowed low, as if they wanted to bury themselves in the ground like ostriches. Where were you when my granddaughter died? Cadio's face flushed red. The elderly men dared not answer. And what were you doing when my son died? Cadio continued to question. Finally, one of the elderly men couldn't help but speak up. Your granddaughter courted death, shamelessly declaring she would tame a black dragon as a pet. With her temperament, who could control her? Once someone took the lead, others would follow. That's right, and your son too. Knowing that the black dragon had killed the magic core in the war dragon army, he went to his death despite his weak strength. Who can he blame? Yes, He's only at the 4th level of the extraordinary realm. He went to his death. Who can he blame? In the end, it was their own doing, going to provoke the black dragon. It's not our fault. The elders' voices grew louder and louder. It was as if the louder they were, the more justified they were, and the more they could overwhelm Cadio with their imposing presence. HMPH. You haven't made a move in so many years, you've probably forgotten my methods, Cadio sneered. Upon hearing this, the elders' expressions changed drastically, and they hurriedly fled outside. Cadio simply waved his staff lightly. Magic surged. The elders' figures floated uncontrollably into the sky, and then, bang, 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 a series of explosions rang out. The elders were instantly turned into fireworks, exploding into a cloud of blood mist. Killing several mages did not diminish Cadio's anger. Someone, go and bring me the magic crystals, Cadio ordered one of the men beside him. He planned to absorb the magic power from the crystals to quickly restore his strength. The Mages Association was a major user of magic crystals, whether for magical research or the creation of magical artifacts. Magic crystals were extremely important and useful tools. Therefore, the Mages Association usually kept a large stock of magic crystals. "Oh, Guildmaster, we're out of magic crystals," the mage said somewhat awkwardly. Cadio's eyes widened. "What did you say?" "We have so many magic crystals in stock, we couldn't use them all even in a year. How could we be out of them?" the mage replied. "Because the black dragon has taken over the magic crystal mines, the price of magic crystals has skyrocketed recently." The mage Morkan thought this was a great opportunity to make money, so he sold all his magic crystals. Upon hearing this, Cadio trembled with anger. He had rushed back from the royal city with great difficulty, only to find that he couldn't even use magic crystals to restore some of his magic power. "Mage Cadio, calm down. The most important thing for us mages is to stay calm. Since we don't have magic crystals, we can still replenish our magic power," Starline reassured him again. Cadio regained some composure. He nodded. "Prepare a room with plenty of magic power for me, and then prepare some magical items to counter the black dragon. I've used up a lot of magic power traveling from the royal city, but I should be fully recovered by tomorrow evening." Cadio began to instruct his subordinates. Soon, he entered the room to replenish his magic power and recover. At the same time, the Mages Association began preparing various magical items to counter the black dragon. Of course, the mages of the Mages Association had witnessed Simon's powerful strength and believed that these items would be of little use. Mage Cadio is already recovering his magic power. "Since I have nothing else to do, I'll go and scout out the black dragon's strength for him." Starline pushed off with his legs and ran through the air, leaving a trail of shooting stars behind him. He arrived at the magic crystal forest and flew through the air. Before long, he found the black dragon's territory. Upon seeing Simon, a man the size of a small mountain, who was listlessly resting with his eyes closed, the Starline scoffed. HMPH, all the rumors are going around, some even saying he's comparable to Moonlight Ice Dance, but he's just a nobody who isn't even at the legendary level. I don't need to worry about Mage Cadio's revenge. The Starline hovered in midair, its gaze fixed on Simon on the ground, a contemptuous smile on its face, before turning and leaving. Just after the Starline departed, Simon, who had been feigning sleep, suddenly opened his dragon eyes. A smile played on his lips. "Looks like I'll soon be able to eat some decent food." The followers were startled by Simon's sudden action. "Lord Black Dragon, what food are you referring to?" Abby asked cautiously. Simon shook his head without further explanation. "It has nothing to do with you. You should all move out of the territory for the next few days." "Lord Black Dragon, are you abandoning us?" Goblin cried, his eyes brimming with tears. Simon rolled his eyes at Goblin. "A powerful enemy will return in a few days, and the aftershocks of that battle will be enough to kill you all." Simon hadn't forgotten the battle in the Elven tribe. His fight with the Elven Queen alone had killed hundreds of elves. These weak followers were even less likely to survive. Simon was always understanding towards his followers. There was no need for them to die needlessly. Especially his little elf Andy, on whom he had placed high hopes. Upon hearing this, Andy hurriedly said, "Simon, even if we can leave, we can't take the fairy flowers, peas, and sunflowers I planted. And most importantly, the elemental fruits have already been planted, and the surrounding wind elemental power will become increasingly dense. Once the elemental fruits are dug up, all of this will be for nothing." Simon thought about it and agreed that Andy was right. The fairy flowers were almost ripe, And the Fairy Flower King was incredibly robust. Andy would soon be able to rely on growing the Fairy Flower King to skip the second tier and advance to the third tier of the extraordinary realm. The other followers weren't important to Simon, but Andy's cultivation was crucial. The higher Andy's strength, the more powerful the extraordinary plants he could cultivate, and the greater the profits they would bring. But Simon wasn't like the Elf Queen, restricted by his followers. He simply nodded slightly. Plants are nothing. If they're gone, just replant them. The opponent is at least a legendary, and I won't be able to protect you during the fight. Don't blame me, your master, for not protecting you if you die. Andy pouted. Die? Fine. Andy, am not afraid of death, but what I've planted absolutely cannot be destroyed. Simon was speechless. You little brat, you've got some nerve. Do as you please. Chapter 95. So it was a hybrid dragon. A mere 9th tier transcendent black dragon? I could easily crush your head in less than 3 minutes. In the sky, the Star Lion spoke arrogantly, his tone contemptuous, filled with disdain for the weak. He glanced at Simon, then turned and left, returning to Lin City. At this moment, Cadio was still cultivating his magic. The Star Lion thought for a moment and decided not to disturb him. Whether Cadio took his revenge sooner or later was the same to him. Having finally found an excuse to go out and have some fun, the Star Lion wasn't about to invite trouble. The next evening arrived. Cadio, his magic fully restored, emerged from his room. Brother Lion, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. Cadio nodded to the Star Lion. The Star Lion waved his hand, indicating it was alright. Mage Cadio, I've already investigated for you. That black dragon is only at the 9th tier of Transcendent. The rumor that it killed an army of 70,000 with a single move is probably just hearsay. Cadio was taken aback. Only the 9th level of the Transcendent realm. He seemed surprised that the much-discussed black dragon was only at the 9th level of the Transcendent realm. He had once thought that the black dragon would at least possess the legendary realm. Yes, everyone says it can be compared to the moonlight ice dance that ravaged the northern part of the southern continent, but seeing that it's only at the 9th level of the Transcendent realm, I'm quite disappointed. Star Lion sneered. Cadio pondered for a moment and decided to proceed cautiously. He said to the mages of the Mage Guild, have you prepared all the magical items I requested? The mages stepped forward, bringing one magical item after another. This is a robe that can resist the black dragon's acidic breath. It has a powerful anti-corrosion effect and, theoretically, can withstand 3 breaths from a legendary black dragon. That black dragon knows powerful lightning magic. This is a necklace that can activate a shield. It is extremely effective against lightning elemental attacks. With your magic power to activate it, it might be able to resist. The mage who spoke had witnessed a battle and felt a tremor in his heart at the thought of the terrifying red lightning magic unleashed by the black dragon. Considering his guild leader was a man who valued his reputation, the mage gritted his teeth and said, withstanding 3 attacks is absolutely no problem. Cadio nodded in satisfaction. He donned one magical item after another, donned an anti-corrosion robe, wore a shield necklace, had rings adorning all 10 fingers, and bracelets hanging from his wrists. The staff he held in his palm was priceless. He was impeccably dressed, exuding unparalleled wealth. Star Lion's eyelid twitched, and he couldn't help but mutter, is it really necessary to prepare so thoroughly just to fight a black dragon that isn't even legendary? Cadio smiled slightly. Brother Lion, our human lifespan is short, but we cherish it even more. No matter what enemy I face, I will go all out. Even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit. Star Lion paused, seemingly pondering the phrase. Wonderful, wonderful, what a perfect line. Even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit. Star Lion's eyes gleamed, and he repeated the phrase over and over. Brother Lion, let's go. Cadio waved his staff, using gravity magic to carry the Star Lion into the sky. The man and the lion flew straight into the magic crystal forest, arriving above the black dragon's territory. Meanwhile, within the black dragon's territory, thanks to Simon's prior report, most of the followers had fled elsewhere for refuge, leaving only a few fearless ones and 2 elves with ulterior motives. Black dragon, you killed my granddaughter and son. Today I will tear you to pieces. Cadio hovered high in the sky, looking down. Simon slowly rose, looking up at the man and the lion. He narrowed his eyes slightly, sensing their auras, his expression becoming serious and earnest, as if facing a formidable enemy. 2 legendary powerhouses, one is the lion from yesterday, and the other is a mage, probably the legendary mage from Lin City. To face two legends at once, the pressure is considerable. Ling, you have encountered an unprecedented crisis. Please fight back against the two legendary powerhouses. Mission reward, +1 lottery draw, +10 meters to feast size. Just as Simon was feeling anxious and nervous, the system notified him. Yuka and Yulina exchanged a glance. Even with their 7th tier extraordinary abilities, they felt immense pressure from the two figures in the sky. Undoubtedly, these two were legendary powerhouses. The two elves' purpose in staying here was simple, to find an opportunity to betray Simon. Now, two legendary powerhouses were actually joining forces against Simon. The elven tribe's chance for revenge had arrived. Simon slowly rose, spread his wings, and prepared to fly into the sky. Your family is truly interesting. The youngest came to die, the middle-aged came to die, and now, even the last remaining member has come to die. His tone was arrogant, showing no fear despite the opponent's higher cultivation level. Simon vaguely sensed that these two legendary powerhouses weren't particularly strong. So far, Simon had only encountered 3 legendary powerhouses. But the 2 legendary powerhouses before him didn't seem as powerful as the Elven Queen, AC. At least a faint divine aura emanating from the Elf Queen AC was something the 2 legendary powerhouses before him lacked. Even when facing them simultaneously, Simon felt he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. However, to be on the safe side, Simon decided to ambush and kill one of them first. The strength of the Starlight Lion was still uncertain, but the mage was certainly physically weak. A single slap from Simon would be enough to turn the elderly mage into mincemeat. However, the distance between them was too great. It was clearly impossible for Simon to launch a successful sneak attack before they could react. So he took a deep breath and exhaled a ball of fire. To ensure the plan's success, Simon didn't use his full power in Roar of the Fire Dragon, nor did he incorporate the power of the Dragon Charm. This was only a fire breath with less than half its power. Even so, Simon's attack was still formidable, but against 2 legends, it was clearly insufficient. HMPH. A mere trick. But I didn't expect a black dragon to breathe fire. Are you some kind of hybrid, a cross between a red dragon and a black dragon? Cadio extended his left hand. A ring on his finger flashed. Water shot out, easily extinguishing the flames. Ha ha ha, Mage Cadio, you're absolutely right. What black dragon breathes fire? This is clearly a hybrid dragon. Starlion also burst into laughter, making various comical mocking gestures in midair. Simon, on the ground, had veins bulging on his forehead, forming a grid pattern. I swore before that whoever calls me a hybrid will beat them to pulp. I was feeling perfectly fine today, but after drinking a bottle of Assam, I feel weak and dizzy. I'll try to write as much as I can, see if I can manage to write another chapter tonight. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Death. Lies don't hurt, but the truth is the sharpest blade. Simon knew he was a hybrid dragon, a black and red dragon, from the day after his birth. He didn't mind his mixed blood body, on the contrary, he was quite satisfied with his strong physique, a result of the union of black and red dragons. However, the taunts from Cadio and the Starlion ignited his anger. You're going to die? Simon roared, spreading his wings and pouncing on the man and the lion. Hell, looks like you're angry, but before absolute power, even anger is meaningless. Cadio waved his staff, magic surging. As mentioned before, Cadio learned gravity magic first, then mastered star magic. Therefore, Cadio's ability to suppress his opponent was far superior to his offensive methods. 9th tier magic, universal gravitation. Cadio pointed his staff at Simon. Instantly, a tremendous suction force emanated from Simon in all directions. Affected by the suction force, Simon's movements faltered. Countless debris was drawn to him, clinging to his body. Even his followers on the ground were no exception. Even the 2 elves, possessing extraordinary 7th tier strength, were powerless against the magic cast by the legendary mage. Sand and gravel flew everywhere. Countless plants were pulled into the air. The scene was spectacular and terrifying. My fairy flower, my sunflower, my peas, and the elemental fruit I just planted, Andy cried out in grief and anger. She desperately clung to her little brother Goblin's body, but to no avail. Goblin was also being pulled towards Simon. Under the immense suction force, nothing around them was spared. As a 9th tier spell, this move was not simply about releasing suction centered on Simon. Guided by the magic, the suction force on Simon would grow stronger and stronger, not only attracting surrounding objects, but eventually forming a small black hole that would crush Simon's body. And Simon clearly had no intention of sitting idly by and waiting to die. As expected of a legendary powerhouse, the magic you unleash is indeed powerful, but to think you can trap me with just this much? Not so easy. Simon roared. Sizzle red lightning began to coil around Simon's body, making him appear like a thunder god incarnate. In a flash, Simon's power surged, forcefully breaking through the magic and continuing his charge towards Cadio. Gravity vanished, everything fell to the ground, only the black dragon soared into the sky. Ancient dragon lightning spear. Simon's right hand clenched, and a red lightning spear instantly materialized. Enraged, Simon held nothing back, hurling the over 100-meter-long ancient dragon lightning spear. Cadio frowned. Such powerful magic. He's only at the 9th rank, yet possesses the power of legendary magic. He reached out and brushed his hand across the necklace on his chest. The dazzling gemstone necklace shimmered with white light, forming a protective shield that enveloped Cadio and the Star Lion. Don't worry, this is the result of my association's research, a magic specifically designed to counter lightning. Even legendary magic can't break it, Cadio confidently introduced to the Star Lion. The lightning spear struck the shield, only producing ripples. Seeing this, the Star Lion was full of praise. Indeed, a very good magical item. It can even withstand magic comparable to legendary power. Wait, something's not right. The Star Lion's expression changed drastically. The next second, boom, the ancient dragon lightning spear exploded violently, countless bolts of lightning raging. The shield, located at the center of the explosion, naturally couldn't withstand it. First, a small spot appeared where the lightning spear struck. Then, cracks rapidly spread, like a spider web. Finally, the shield could no longer withstand it and shattered with a crack. Lightning swept over both man and lion. Fortunately, the Star Lion was tough, and Cadio had many magical items on him, otherwise, his fate would have been tragic. Crack crack crack, the necklace on Cadio's chest shattered, and the ring on his finger also made a series of cracking sounds. After sacrificing 7 or 8 valuable magical items, Cadio survived. How is this possible? How can there be such powerful magic? Star Lion screamed in disbelief. As the protector of the shield, he naturally knew the extent of its resistance, even he couldn't guarantee breaking it in one blow. Brother Lion, this black dragon's strength is beyond our expectations. Give me a hand, let's join forces to kill him. Cadio's expression turned serious. Simon's ancient dragon thunder spear not only shattered his magical items, but also shattered his underestimation of his opponent. Alright, Star Lion nodded. Watch me. Star River Waterfall. Star Lion opened its blood-red maw, spitting out countless stars. The stars surged like a waterfall cascading down 3,000 feet. Cadio immediately cast a spell to assist Star Lion's Star River Waterfall. Brilliant stars. With a flash of his staff, countless stars twinkled around, making the waterfall even more turbulent, like a monstrous wave swallowing the heavens. Simon, being enormous, knew he couldn't dodge, so he simply didn't try and charged forward. In the blink of an eye, he collided with the Star River waterfall. The immense impact was like the pressure of the sky falling, halting Simon's advance and even pushing him backward. Seeing this, the Star Lion was dumbfounded. Such terrifying power, such a powerful body. An ordinary 9th-tier transcendent dragon would have been crushed into mincemeat by my Star River waterfall. Cadio also gasped. What did this black dragon eat to grow up like this? This was an attack launched by me and Brother Lion together. They never imagined that Simon had grown to his current size by devouring various powerful beings. He possessed a size exceeding 100 meters, accompanied by a body comparable to a legend. Just then, Simon's roar came from below. Kayakin, Simon's aura surged, his power doubling. He defiantly pushed against the current of the Star River waterfall. To the astonishment of Cadio and the Star Lion, the galaxy waterfall was shattered, and the black dragon swiftly attacked, slapping towards Simon. The Star Lion reacted first, transform into a meteor. He cast a spell, transforming himself into a ball of light and hurtling towards Simon, but Simon, using the Kayakin technique, slapped him away. Cadio then recovered and quickly unleashed his strongest move, Starfall. This was a new spell combining star magic and gravity magic. He waved his staff, sending countless dazzling starlight hurtling towards Simon. This move was extremely powerful. Each star, amplified by gravity, was like a falling meteorite, leaving Simon bruised and battered, in excruciating pain. But Simon was fearless, completely disregarding the danger. Soul-scattering Iron Claw, die! He attacked Cadio with incredible speed, a whooshing sound echoing through the air. Just as Cadio was in grave danger, his bracelet flashed, and he vanished from his spot, reappearing more than 10 meters away. You can't escape, Blood Claw Blade. Simon scratched his arm with his nails, then hurled the blades at Cadio, who had just finished his teleportation. Blood transformed into flying blades, slicing the legendary mage's body into several pieces. Cadio, dead. Chapter 97. Don't come any closer. Driven by Simon, the dragon's blood transformed into countless flying blades, easily slicing the mage's fragile body into several pieces. Cadio's remaining consciousness, seeing his own body fragmented, widened in disbelief. Had Simon been idly sleeping all these days? Clearly not. He was constantly developing new skills. Because he hadn't inherited the power of the dragon's bloodline, Simon had to acquire combat skills or magic himself. However, the cost of learning was too high. Even if he could learn combat skills or magic from his followers, they would quickly become obsolete as he grew. Fortunately, the skills obtained through the system's lottery would grow stronger along with Simon. Like the ancient dragon lightning spear, when Simon first drew it, it was only at the second tier. The ancient dragon lightning spear he used was at most a third or fourth tier spell. But now Simon had reached the 9th tier of the extraordinary realm, and the power of the ancient dragon lightning spear was astonishing, comparable to legendary magic. With limited skills, Simon had no choice but to continuously develop the skills he already possessed. For example, the increased multiplier of the Kayakin technique was the result of Simon's continuous development. It wasn't something he could simply unleash at any multiplier. The Flying Blade Blood Claw was an advanced technique of the soul-scattering Iron Claw. Of course, Simon didn't create this himself, he merely learned it from the anime Inuyasha. Master Cadio. No, Starlion reacted, howling in grief. He and Cadio had a fairly good relationship. In the Star Tower, they discussed and exchanged star magic, practically close friends. But Cadio had died before his very eyes. How could Starlion accept this? Simon sneered menacingly, don't worry, you're next. With that, Simon turned and pounced on Starlion. Starlion knew this wasn't the time for sorrow. He had already given his all with the Star River waterfall, yet he hadn't managed to harm Simon. This black dragon is terrifyingly powerful, far beyond a typical 9th tier transcendent. It's definitely hiding its strength. Could this guy be a demigod? No, I have to escape, I can't die here. Starlion's mind raced. The moment Simon made his move, Starlion had already decided to flee. Without hesitation, Starlion turned and ran. He sprinted through the air, his forelegs moving incredibly fast, leaving afterimages. His body whooshed forward, leaving a trail of stars in his wake. Escape? Do you think you can still escape? Simon sneered. His broad dragon wings flapped, and Simon's speed increased dramatically. The distance between them closed rapidly. Simon took a deep breath, his lungs expanding, and exhaled a burst of raging fire. The power of the dragon runes within him was added to this flame, raising its temperature and increasing its explosive potential. Fortunately, this black dragon isn't good at breathing attacks. I can withstand it. Starlion naturally sensed the fiery breath coming from behind. The Starlion stopped, turned around, and roared, galactic roar. Countless starlight erupted, flowing like a never-ending river. However, Simon was currently in a state of lightning-fast power and double Kayakin, and this breath was not just a simple, fire dragon's roar, but also imbued with the power of the dragon talisman. The effect was not simply 1+1. The power was greatly increased. No less than that of the ancient dragon thunder spear. After expanding with the Starlion's galactic roar, the flames destroyed the countless starlight with overwhelming force, bombarding the Starlion. Bang! The flames exploded, and the huge impact blasted the Starlion nearly 100 meters away. The Starlion did not seem to have suffered any particularly serious damage, but Simon noticed that the starlight on its body had dimmed considerably. Perhaps this was some kind of defensive measure of the Starlion. However, Simon did not care. Simon was not so naive as to think that he could kill a legendary powerhouse with a single blow. How could this be? His breath attack wasn't this powerful before. Starlion panicked completely. Impossible. His aura is definitely at the 9th level of the transcendent realm. Even the strongest person can't perfectly conceal their aura when launching an attack, unless this guy's realm far surpasses mine, a mythical realm expert. No, that's impossible. If he were a god, I would be dead already. Starlion's mind was a complete mess. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't figure out why Simon, who appeared to be only at the 9th level of the transcendent realm, could single-handedly fight 2 legendary experts simultaneously, and even manage to overpower them. Dare to call me a bastard? Even Jesus couldn't save you today, Simon roared angrily from behind. Starlion shuddered, his thoughts interrupted, and he came to his senses. Without hesitation, he fled at full speed, glancing back at Simon's position every now and then. When he discovered that Simon's flying speed had surpassed his own at full speed, Starlion could no longer control his expression, fear flashing in his eyes. Impossible, impossible. You're only at the 9th level of the extraordinary realm? How could you be stronger than a legendary powerhouse? Starlion screamed in despair. Simon drew closer, even opening his gaping maw to devour him. Starlion's heart was filled with terror. Don't come any closer. Ah! Just as Simon was about to bite Starlion to death, the latter suddenly unleashed a terrifying aura. The impact sent Simon flying. The sky was covered in stars. An unparalleled aura enveloped the scene. Seeing this, Starlion's fear vanished, and a smile of relief appeared on his face. Goddess, save me. Countless stars moved, forming the blurry figure of a woman. The starry phantom was enormous, occupying the entire sky. Before this starry phantom, even Simon, who was over 100 meters tall, was as insignificant as an ant. Who else could Starlion call a goddess? It was none other than the star goddess. The ethereal figure in the starry sky sighed, followed by a divine female voice. Black dragon, how about sparing him for my sake? Simon's alarm bells rang. He tensed up, completely focused. He never expected a god would personally intervene to save his follower. Simon looked up cautiously at the ethereal figure, thought for a moment, and then smiled, saying, since the goddess has spoken, of course I must grant her that request. A true hero knows when to yield and when to stand firm. Simon was powerful, his robust physique and potent magic allowing him to defeat 2 legendary figures with his 9th-tier transcendent strength, but he wasn't capable of contending with mythical beings. However, simply letting the Starlion go was unacceptable. So Simon continued, but as a goddess, you must be reasonable. Your follower insulted me as a bastard dragon. Shouldn't I kill him? I can spare him, but only if you offer something in exchange. Chapter 98 Extorting the Star Goddess. Simon was unwilling to leave so easily. Seeing that the Star Goddess didn't intend to attack him directly, Simon boldly began to bargain. After all, the rewards from the system missions were nothing special, just getting a new skill and increasing his size by 10 meters. If he could get something good from the goddess, it would be much more worthwhile than the system missions. Just being scolded in exchange for a decent treasure was something Simon was more than willing to accept. Sigh. Cheyenne, didn't I tell you not to cause trouble? The star goddess sighed. The Starlion could only grit his teeth and say, this black dragon killed Mage Cadio's family, and I'm Mage Cadio's friend. I should help Mage Cadio. Ultimately, it was the black dragon that provoked us first. The star goddess turned her gaze to Simon. Simon answered without hesitation, that old man's granddaughter said she wanted to take me as a pet. Naturally, I couldn't stand the humiliation. What's wrong with killing him? His son attacked me first. What's wrong with killing him to protect myself? HMPH, in the end, it's because that old man didn't raise his daughter properly, producing such an unruly woman. Simon sneered, his tone indignant. Starlion was speechless. He opened his mouth, wanting to retort. But remembering that Mage Cadio was dead, he knew that no matter what he said, it would be useless. He knew that this was a wisp of the goddess's consciousness left within him. Because he was within the goddess's territory, even a wisp of her consciousness projected a huge phantom. This wisp of consciousness couldn't kill the black dragon, it would be good enough to repel the powerful black dragon. As for whether the goddess's true form would come to his rescue, please, the goddess is very busy. Moreover, there's more than one god in the southern continent. Starlion is favored by the goddess, so he knows quite a bit. Especially recently, another goddess has been constantly harassing Star Goddess. In this situation, the Star Goddess was also overwhelmed. Xianquan, you were wrong in this matter. Apologize? The Star Goddess's tone was calm, showing no favoritism towards anyone. This surprised Simon somewhat. It seemed the Star Goddess was a very easygoing goddess. Yes, I'm sorry, Black Dragon, it was my fault. Under the goddess's request, the Star Lion reluctantly apologized to Simon. But was Simon someone who could be so easily satisfied? Clearly not. If an apology could settle things, Simon would be willing to bite off a piece of the Star Goddess's flesh and then apologize to gain forgiveness. HMPH, you think this is the end of it? I was badly injured by your Star River waterfall attack, my whole body ached, and my internal organs were damaged. Simon pointed to his injuries. The Star Lion's eyes widened in fury. You're lying. It was clearly Mage Cadio who did this. My attack didn't cause you any harm at all. Don't even think about extorting the goddess. Simon immediately resorted to shamelessness. Do you think I don't know who inflicted my injuries? And it's not just my injuries. Because you've ravaged my territory, you owe me compensation for my losses. How about 100,000 or 200,000 gold coins? You? The Star Lion had never imagined that a dragon could be so shameless. The Star Goddess looked at Simon with surprise. She naturally knew that Simon was only at the 9th level of the extraordinary realm. She just hadn't expected that the Star Lion and Mage Cadio, working together, not only couldn't defeat him, but they hadn't even suffered much damage. Simon's minor injuries would be fully healed in 10 days to half a month. For a dragon's long lifespan, 10 days to half a month was just a blink of an eye. And that wasn't all. The Star Goddess narrowed her eyes. She sensed the aura of a god emanating from Simon. It was the aura left behind by an incredibly evil god. It seemed this black dragon had offended a powerful and wicked deity. Perhaps she could bring him under her wing. Black Dragon, as compensation for this, I can remove the divine curse from you, the goddess said confidently. She could already picture Simon weeping and begging for her gratitude. What? Remove the curse? Are you kidding me? Simon immediately panicked. The goddess was taken aback. You don't want to. Simon rolled his eyes. Please, I'm already at the 9th level of the extraordinary realm, maybe I'll break through to legendary realm soon. Those few apostles of Bloodcry God are no match for me. I'm actually hoping Bloodcry God's apostles will come knocking on my door to offer me some comfort. Simon's current strength was such that even ordinary legendary realm experts were no match for him. Not to mention Bloodcry God, whose main base wasn't in the southern continent and could only send subordinates to develop here. If Bloodcry God himself came, Simon might be able to back down a bit. The apostle sent to the southern continent by the Bloodcry God would undoubtedly be an unfavored and weak one. What boss would send their favorite, most capable subordinate to another branch? Even if the apostle possessed legendary power, he certainly wouldn't be a match for Simon. Therefore, if Simon were to encounter the Bloodcry God's apostle, under the influence of the curse, the apostle would definitely attack him. At that point, Simon could enjoy a free lunch delivered to his door. So, what do you want? The Star Goddess paused for a moment before taking the initiative to ask. Simon considered what he currently needed. He had no shortage of skills thanks to the system, and for growth, he had Feast, which allowed him to continuously absorb and become stronger, improving his defense and power. His internal abilities were all prepared, only his external abilities were lacking. I need magical items, mythical level magical items. Simon's eyes darted around, and he decisively spoke up. Upon hearing this, the Star Lion's eyes widened even more. You really dare to dream. Your mouth is bigger than mine, a lion's mouth. A mythical artifact? Have you no shame? The goddess suddenly spoke. I don't have mythical artifacts, but I can give you a demigod level 1. Xianquan, give him the star tier. The Star Lion, who had been angrily cursing Simon for his shamelessness, suddenly froze, his expression blank. Goddess, if I give him the star tier, what am I supposed to do? The goddess shook her head. If you offend someone you can't afford to offend, you have to bear the consequences yourself. Did you hear me? Give me the artifact now. Simon's eyes gleamed. Helpless, the Star Lion spat out a drop of azure water. The droplet shimmered with light, clearly not an ordinary object. Star Tier, a demigod-level magical artifact, made from the tears of the Star Goddess. It contains a large amount of magic power and can recover its magic power by absorbing starlight. With it, You have the magic power reserves of a demigod. Are you satisfied with this compensation? The star goddess asked. Chapter 99. I am a noble dragon, and it is well known that I never keep my promises. Satisfied, satisfied, extremely satisfied, Simon nodded repeatedly. His gaze was intense, fixed on a tiny teardrop before him. The teardrop was crystal clear, like a dazzling blue gem. A powerful, restrained magic gave it an air of mystery. A faint halo emanated from its surface, its mysteries boundless. It was clearly no ordinary object. Simon's eyes gleamed greedily, and he immediately reached out and grasped the small star teardrop. This teardrop is filled with magic. Even someone like me, who can't control magic, can absorb it to restore my strength, although the effect will be greatly reduced. But with a demigod-level magic reserve, the effect is still terrifying. All I need to do is release the teardrop every night to absorb starlight. This is practically a demigod-level power bank, Simon exclaimed in amazement. He had been asking for an exorbitant price from the start, only hoping to haggle and obtain a legendary-level magical item. He hadn't expected the star goddess to be so generous, directly giving him a demigod-level star teardrop. How do I absorb the magic within? Simon asked. The star lion reluctantly said, just eat it. Once the magic is used up, the teardrop will automatically refill. Simon hesitated for a moment upon hearing this, but didn't eat it, instead silently putting it away. Fortunately, although the star teardrop was small, the aura it emitted was quite noticeable, preventing Simon from losing such a treasure. Simon dared not eat anything recklessly again. Last time, he swallowed the serpent apostle of the blood god, almost killing him. He'd better go home and study the star teardrop first. Black Dragon, since you're satisfied, then you can leave. Before the star goddess finished speaking, her figure suddenly became illusory. A series of filthy insults came from afar. Star goddess, you bitch, so your consciousness still exists here. Let's see where you can run to. The star goddess's consciousness completely dissipated. In mid-air, Simon and the star lion stared blankly at this scene. The event happened too suddenly, leaving neither the dragon nor the lion able to react. Star goddess, are you still there? Simon asked tentatively. The star lion replied, don't look anymore, the goddess is gone. The star lion expressed his current frustration. His close friend, the mage Cadio, was killed by the black dragon, and even his treasure, the star tear, was stolen. Getting involved with Simon was never a good thing. The star lion lowered his head and left dejectedly. Simon then asked, then the star goddess is gone, will she come back? The star lion felt a sense of foreboding. What do you want? You promised the goddess you'd let me go after taking the star tear, and the goddess can make you vanish in an instant. Seeing the star lion's expression, Simon was certain of his suspicions. He grinned menacingly and uttered a classic line, I am a noble dragon, and also a demon wizard. As everyone knows, I don't keep my promises. With that, red lightning crackled around Simon. In a flash, Simon lunged at the star lion. The latter immediately retaliated. Star River Waterfall. The star lion unleashed a series of starlight waterfalls, but without the star tear to replenish his power, this attack quickly depleted his magic. But what surprised him even more was that this attack consumed far more magic than he had expected. The star lion didn't think much of it, assuming it was just because it wasn't used to the absence of star tears. After spewing out a galaxy waterfall, the star lion transformed into a shooting star and fled. Delay will only make things worse. I can't let you live any longer. Maybe that star goddess will come looking for you. Simon's expression was serious as he unleashed his full power. 6 times Kayakin, Simon roared, his aura surging wildly. The star lion, who was fleeing at top speed, naturally sensed the change in Simon's aura. The fear of death spread through his heart, making his legs tremble. This aura, how is this possible? Why is a 9th tier transcendent black dragon so powerful? The star lion turned his head in disbelief. This one glance almost scared him out of his wits. His full-force galaxy waterfall crashed into Simon like a small splash of water hitting a hard rock. It did nothing but wet the rock. Conversely, his own Star River waterfall, struck by Simon's massive force, couldn't even delay before shattering into countless starlight fragments. Under the 6 times Kayakin, Simon's muscles bulged. With a flap of his wings and a deafening bang, Simon charged forward. His speed was incredible. With each blink, Star Lion saw Simon getting closer. Even with his full power, it was futile. Seeing Simon closing in, Starlion felt a sense of powerlessness. No matter how he resisted, he was no match for Simon. No matter how he fled, he couldn't escape Simon's clutches. So he simply gave up. Starlion stopped and looked at Simon, saying seriously, "You won this time, but next time I will win." The words had barely left his lips when Simon slapstruck, knocking Starlion to the ground. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, and he twitched twice before falling still. "HMPH, you want a next time? Go to my stomach then," Simon sneered, landing in front of Starlion. "Congratulations on successfully killing 2 legendary figures. Lottery draw chance +1, size +10 meters. The system notified Simon precisely the moment he killed the Starlion. Simon felt a warm current flowing rapidly through his body, his size increasing and his strength growing. After the system's rewards were distributed, Simon grabbed the Starlion and tossed it into his mouth. Devoured the legendary Starlion, size +17 meters. Simon's lips twitched. As expected, this lion was a complete fraud. The Elf Queen gave me a full 50 meters, although I've become stronger. The size provided by a legendary powerhouse shouldn't be this much of a shrinkage. Not only this lion, but that legendary mage was also a fraud. Simon was full of disdain. However, the size increase brought by a legendary powerhouse was indeed significant. After devouring the Starlion, Simon's size increased again. Power. This is power. Simon felt completely refreshed, soaring into the sky and flying towards his territory. Simon's current strength surpassed that of an ordinary legendary, and he flew incredibly fast, even making sonic booms at full speed. It's important to know that Simon's flight relies entirely on his own power, unlike other dragons who would imbue their wings with magic. In no time at all, Simon had returned to his territory. The territory was now a scene of utter devastation. In a legendary level battle, it was incredibly fortunate that his followers hadn't perished. Lord Black Dragon, this is the staff that the mage dropped when he died. The lizard woman Abby stepped forward, respectfully holding up the staff. Chapter 103,000 Thunderclaps. Upon hearing this, Simon slowly bent down. Looking closely, he saw it was indeed the staff of the mage Kato. "Huh? This staff wasn't shattered by my bloodclaw flying blades," Simon said, somewhat surprised. While his bloodclaw flying blades weren't as powerful as his other skills, they were still definitely at the 9th level of the extraordinary realm. He hadn't expected the staff to only have a few scratches on its surface. "It is a sturdy staff, but it's useless to me." Simon couldn't very well fight while gripping a staff with his fingernails. "I remember Abby, you've been learning gravity magic recently. How's your progress?" Simon asked. Abby replied, "Lord Black Dragon, I've basically mastered the use of gravity balls and can already release small ones." Hearing this, Simon realized that Abby had become an extraordinary realm user. His strength was still weak, but the aura emanating from him was unmistakably that of an extraordinary mage. Once he fully mastered gravity balls, he would become a second-tier lizardman mage, or perhaps he should be called a lizardman priest. Simon nodded in approval. "Not bad, that old man also used gravity magic. In that case, this staff is yours." Back when Simon first killed a human, he also received a staff from an adventurer. However, Simon found it too useless and didn't take it with him when he left the dragon mother's lair. Is this really okay?" Abby was flattered. If she could travel back in time, Abby would definitely slap her past self. There was no better master in the world than Lord Simon. How foolish she had been to try and lead the lizardmen to break free from Lord Simon's control. How stupid she had been. It was an honor for the lizardman tribe to follow such a powerful master as Lord Simon. The long-haired elf, Yuka, watched this scene with longing. That was a legendary mage's staff. He was also very envious. A legendary staff being bestowed upon a lizardman who had just entered the transcendent realm, it was simply a waste. "What I say goes. If you don't want it, give it back," Simon said forcefully. Yes, I will definitely not let you down, Lord Black Dragon." As she spoke, Abby even shed tears. She was moved to tears of gratitude. But someone else was crying much louder than Abby. "Why, my fairy flower king, my sunflower collector, my pea shooter, and my elemental fruit tree are all gone." The little elf Andy knelt on Goblin's head and wailed. Goblin looked helpless. "Big sister, please stop crying." Andy kept punching Goblin with her little fists. "I worked so hard to grow these things for half a month, and they're all gone. Why can't I cry? I was imprisoned by those pigmen for 10 years, and I've never been this heartbroken. These plants were almost mature, and I was about to become a third-level extraordinary expert. Why? Andy sobbed even harder. Goblin had a headache and could only cover his ears. Bray stepped forward and boldly asked Simon, Lord Black Dragon, did you kill those two powerful figures? Simon nodded. Bray continued, what level of strength did they possess? Simon calmly replied, legendary. Hiss! All the attendants present gasped in shock. Even Andy, who was constantly wailing, stared at Simon in disbelief. Lord Black Dragon single-handedly fought against two legendary figures at the same time, and even killed them. My god, just how strong is Lord Black Dragon? First an apostle of the gods. Now two legendary figures. Is Lord Black Dragon going to kill a god next? The attendants discussed among themselves. The elves, however, were pale-faced. Yuka and Yulina even wanted revenge. But they never expected Simon to have grown to this level. In fact, they didn't know that even if Starlion and Kadio joined forces, they might not be a match for the former elf queen. Even among legendary figures, the difference in strength was enormous. My territory is in ruins. Pack up and prepare to move. Call me again when the new territory is built. Simon waved his hand, shooing away his followers. He lay on the ground, motionless like a mountain. Even though Simon was overwhelming his opponents in the battle against the legendary, the repeated use of the Kaioken had taken a heavy toll on his body. Simon was already exhausted. System, draw a prize. After ordering his followers to rebuild the territory, Simon used the prize draw opportunity he had just earned from completing the mission. Drawing prizes. Congratulations on drawing the skill. 3000 thunderclaps. Skill description, a low-level earth rank movement technique, divided into 3 layers. Thunder Flash, Thunder Instant, and 3000 thunderclaps. Although it is low-level earth rank, its speed is comparable to high-level earth rank movement techniques. After mastering it, swamps will be as flat ground. Source, Battle Through the Heavens. Looking at the new skill drawn by the system, Simon nodded in satisfaction. In Battle Through the Heavens, once the 3000 thunder movements are cultivated to their limit, reaching the 3000 thunder realm, one can cultivate the 3000 thunder illusion body. The 3000 thunder movements are already an excellent movement skill. If one could cultivate the 3000 thunder illusion body and create a clone with strength similar to the original, Simon's combat power would essentially double. Simon glanced at his system panel, very satisfied. Name, Simon. Level 9, height 147.6281 meters, skills, Feast, Roar of the Fire Dragon, Ancient Dragon Thunder Spear, Pressure, Realm King Fist, Lightning Flash, Soul Scattering Iron Claw, 3000 Thunder Movements, Item, Dragon Talisman. So, let's test the effects of this so-called 3000 Thunder Movements, and, if I actually consume that demigod level magical item, will there be any hidden dangers? More Royal City. Inside the palace, the king, who had transformed from an obese body into a handsome man, was furiously smashing objects. 70,000. The Black Dragon killed 70,000 with just one move. General Zisha, a transcendent 8th level warrior, is also dead without a burial place. Do you know what our people are saying about us? Fueled by the other 2 kingdoms, useless. All of them are useless. Is there not a single person who can comfort me? Clearly, the rumors circulating in the royal city had reached the king's ears. King Moore kicked a pillar, his rage burning. At this moment, the weasel-faced, hunchbacked, and wretched-looking Minister Howe suggested, Your Majesty, why not let the Griffin Knights, who have always served only the royal family, kill that black dragon? This suggestion was immediately echoed by the others. Yes, the Royal Griffin Knights Griffin formation can kill even legendary powerhouses, let alone a mere black dragon. Once the Royal Griffin Knights make their move, they'll surely succeed swiftly. Killing that black dragon and bringing back its corpse will not only quell public opinion, but also increase our deterrent power over other kingdoms. A win-win-win situation. Chapter 100 is here. Worth celebrating. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.